Welcome to the Positively Star Wars Senate podcast. This is Obi-Wan Kenobi. May the Force be with you.
Looky, Senator. Decent Jedi arriving.
Let's make this our best show ever!
I will sign no treaty, Senator.
I am the Senate.
This is the way.
Hello and welcome to Positive Star Wars Chat, because this is the Positively Star Wars Senate podcast. And this is a special episode we are doing dedicated completely to Star Wars Unlimited. My name is Senator Ricky. I'm from the normal flagship show that we have here. If you guys want to check out that show, go look at our past episodes and such, where we do talk about Unlimited play on there too. But I am joined today by my counterparts here. I have Ron.
Greetings and salutations, fellow senators.
And we have Ryan.
Hello there.
And we are the resident Star Wars Unlimited players and nerds of the group, of the podcast too.
Yeah.
So, we've been going on and on about this game since it came out. And we've all participated in stuff and been collecting cards. But we thought it'd be a good idea if we just put everything into an episode. And so maybe somebody like you is listening for the first time, and maybe you want to get started playing the game, and you're kind of like never played maybe a trading card game before, or you're just curious about what it's about, or getting started how to build a deck and stuff like that. We thought it'd be good just to have something you can tune into, and we can pick you up on the history and what's going on with the future and how to play. So how you guys doing this morning?
Swell.
Yep, doing fantastic. I'll be the resident for anyone listening that might be new to the game. I'll be that new person asking millions of questions, because I'm totally new to collectible card game play process, any of it. So I have learned a lot from these two over the course of just but a few months or whatever. It hasn't been around very long, so I'll be sure to be asking a lot of questions during today's Senate session to help try to branch anyone's knowledge with regards to this. And it's quite fun. I've deemed it to be quite quite fun, and had fun doing it and learning all about it.
You've never played a TCG card game, right, Ron?
Completely green.
Yeah, total noob. I've obviously heard of Magic the Gathering and Pokemon, but didn't understand what they were, how they were played, or any of the card game mechanics and things that go into it. Mine truly came from I'm an original trilogy generation fan, so mine came from a collecting the cards. I that's what I started with a long time ago, and just thought it'd be something new was coming out. I wanted to collect the cards, and eventually started learning from the fellow senators, from you guys, about the gameplay, and got involved and got excited about that gameplay. It was I was about to say it was daunting at first. It was just daunting at first because there was so much to it. I thought it was daunting, but as I listened, asked the questions, and just followed along with things or whatever, I've realized, okay, it's not, from somebody from my perspective, total green to the card. What is it? TCG trading card. What is it? TCG. I don't know. TCG trading card game. Well, what is CCG?
Yeah.
I see
Collectible
CCG
card
sometimes.
game.
Is it the same?
Yeah, they're interchangeable. Yeah. They're
So that's why I
interchangeable.
get
Some
confused.
people will nitpick, and they'll be like, "Oh, it's a trading card game, or it's a collectible card game, or it's a living card game." It's like, dude, for noobs, let's just
please.
I've literally watched people trading cards last night at the tournament that I went to, and I collect cards. So the terms are one and the same.
Okay.
It's TCG and CCG. Yeah, they're both perfectly fine to use.
Yeah,
TCG
totally
is
new to
more
me, but
common.
I was getting into it to collect the cards, but then as I learned about the gameplay, I have a nephew that's into Star Wars, so it was something fun for us to share and do in that sense. And we'll talk a little bit about that with the 2-starter pack and the things that are available to you. But yep, I was a total noob to the whole process, to the whole gaming mechanics of it all, and have come a long way, I think. In a short time.
I come from playing Pokemon. I've been playing that maybe and collecting for maybe like 5 years now. I've been doing that with me and my daughter. So I know I'd never played Magic or anything. I never got into that, but Pokemon was my entry because I did want to learn how to play Magic, but I was like, well, I'll start with Pokemon because that, younger kids play that, and maybe it'd be easier for me. But no, I totally caught on with that, and have binders and binders of cards. And yeah, so when this got announced, and I got excited because I'm like, well, it's like Pokemon with Star Wars, so I've been enjoying it. So yeah, I have some knowledge, but and I used to go to Pokemon League, but I've never done any tournaments. So Ryan, you started playing Magic so you can prepare for the game, correct?
Yeah, where I don't have a history of TCGs, but I've always been kind of interested. I'm getting into this like where I want to play more card games with the family, or I looked into Dungeons. I was just trying to find something new. We got heavily into board games, which we did a standalone. I like that too type of thing. We did
Yeah.
board games.
Check that episode out, too.
Yeah. And then it's like they announced a Lord of the Rings set for Magic the Gathering. And I'm like, okay, I'm in. I love Lord of the Rings. I wanted to see all sorts of stuff. I bought crazy amounts of cards, built my own decks. I bought all sorts of Commander and stuff to start playing. And I started playing it, and I realized it's a lot. Like, Magic has been around since you're talking 30 years, 40 years of Magic the Gathering, something like that. So cards have gotten, and it's called the power creep. So cards have gotten so strong and so wordy, and so explorative that it's hard for even a new set like Lord of the Rings. It's designed for people who understand Magic. And I went and I played one event, and my ulterior motive on the one event was only to spread the word about Star Wars Unlimited. Like, hey, I need someone to play local with. And everyone's like, we hate fantasy flight games. And it's like, okay, well, they're trying. So this one looks really good and successful. They're going to run out of cards. I ended up being right. But so I got into the Lord of the Rings, and then they announced, or I shouldn't say announced, but I discovered this game. It just kind of popped up in card game discussions. And I'm like, well, what's this? It's pretty much Magic the Gathering or Pokemon. It's a TCG. They're relatively the same, Lorcana, but total Star Wars. And it wasn't, I've looked into Star Wars, the deck building game by Fantasy Flight, but it was pre-designed decks. So there was no like expansion. So it's like, okay, just buy the deck and that's it. Well, this Star Wars Unlimited, it's like Magic and like Pokemon, where you can open booster packs, you can get cards, you can change out your deck, you can make it stronger, you can fit it just for you, and it triggers that collector in all of us, where you open up that pack, you turn that thing over, and you get like a card you don't have, you pull a legendary, so it scratches that itch of collectability and the excitement of, like you said, Ron, collecting cards, the bubblegum packs of collecting, where this is, I think this set is something like 362 cards for the first set. And what really, really got me hooked is that they cared about the fan base. So Magic the Gathering was selling packs at $7, $8, $14 per pack for basic cards. Pokemon, I think they had a little expansion there for a while, but they don't have absurd prices like that, right, Ricky?
No, these are like around like $4 or something a pack,
Yeah, so Magic was going crazy, and I watched some Magic videos, and card games are the cheapest thing in the world to print. You pay the artist, you print things on things that cost less than a penny, and then you sell it for a 5,000% markup. Magic the Gathering was getting so greedy, I started to fall away from it, as I revolt against companies that are overcharging people. Well, then I discovered this Star Wars Unlimited, and they just seemed to care. They said the MSRP price per pack, not counting gouging or the store you're going to, is $5. And I'm like, okay, that's good for entry. You can walk in, you can buy a $5 pack if stock is there, which we might talk about that later. And you can just open up a pack of cards. And then the other thing is, I believe the packs are 16 cards, where Magic the Gathering has slowly been trimming down. So they're like 8 cards or 12 cards or even 4 cards, where they trim them down, but the price point is relatively the same. So it seemed like they cared, and they weren't making it confusing. So in Magic, there's different play styles. There's draft play styles, which we'll cover these play styles later, I suppose. Not too in depth, but just so people understand. But there's draft, there's commander, there's modern. So they have like 3 or 4 different packs to buy. And this is, listen, there's just one pack. It's a booster pack. Every pack has a leader. Every pack has a base. You get like 9 common cards. You get 4 uncommon cards. You get a rare or legendary, and then you get a foil in every single pack. So it just seemed like they cared about the game and they cared about the fan base, because they're like, the problem with Magic is they don't give an MSRP. They just say stores can sell it what they want. And it's like, sucks, man. Like, so everyone has these different prices. Yes, local stores will charge what they want. I mean, that's the truth of it. But if you can find a store that respects its players and sells it at MSRP, then it's like, okay, cool. The one problem is keeping up with stock right now because the game exploded so quick. But that's kind of what got me into it. It seems like Fantasy Flight and the designers of Star Wars Unlimited cared about making a game for the fans. It's crazy characters that are in the background and stuff like that. So that's what really got me hooked, is just caring about the fan base. So, and that's when I just started to follow it like crazy.
And so the new player to this, I was in learning about that, I was like, oh yeah, okay, that does, 16 cards in a pack, $5 a pack. It's going to be like Pokemon, it's like, oh, this sounds cool. I want to collect these cards, and I want to, my nephew who's in that wheelhouse, Pokemon, 10, 11 years old, and he has the Pokemon, but it's like, oh, this would be a cool Star Wars thing because he also likes Star Wars. I'm thinking I can get
Star
him
Wars
into
characters.
yeah, I'm thinking I can get him into it. His parents will be able to go to the store like they can with Pokemon, and if you behave, good grade, buy cards. I'm totally naive to this process, thinking it's going to be, widely available, and started him down a path, and he's excited about it, whatever. But that part of the process so far, at first anyway, with this first iteration, because as Ryan said, it's gotten so popular and it kind of took off in the gaming community, it hasn't had a chance to make its way into the what do we want to say, the common community, or whatever it is that makes Pokemon, Lorcana, Magic available in Walmart and Target at retail, at the local drugstore or something like that, that hopefully it gets a following, gets big to that. And my nephew will be excited that he has those first series cards, whereas later, it's going to be that next. What are they called when they're like, this was what, Spark of the Rebellion? The next one has some other. What's it called? What's it mean when it has that? Is that what it is?
Shadows.
Expansion? Yeah, but that Shadows and that Spark of the Rebellion is just another set, another expansion of the thing. So. Right, Pokemon has that. I think Magic has those things, but they all work together in some fashion or whatever they do. I was very naive in that sense, thinking, oh, this is going to be awesome. I'll still find this. We'll be able. Anytime we find. I remember telling him as we're opening, because I bought a full box and we cracked the box. He got half, I got half. Whatever cards you got, brother. I don't know anything about these cards. You don't know anything about the cards. If you pull something epic, that's going to be yours. Awesome. Just trying to gin up some excitement with me and him. We didn't even know how to play. We were at totally the collectible card game aspect of collecting the cards. And said, anytime we see these, I'll buy us each a pack, and maybe if you're good, your parents can buy you a pack. Talking it up in that sense, only to find out it doesn't exist. It's not available yet. I'm still ever the optimist. I'm still hopeful that something like that might be able to come to fruition.
Which that's like a double-edged sword, having like a lot of cards out, because then it loses monetary value, and but like you gotta think, Magic the Gathering came out like in '93, and like Pokemon came out in like '97, '98. So like they've had years and years to build upon these. So now, you can walk into Target. They have, my local grocery store has a Pokemon vending machine. You can just buy a booster pack when you're shopping, or the big boxes. But hopefully in the future, this is getting like, so as anybody right now that's tuning in, and you want to see what, they don't sell them in like Walmart and Target, or any Best Buy or anything like that. You have to go to a comic book shop, a gaming store, where they have the tournaments and stuff like that, and you buy them from there. And Ryan, you've been getting the majority of your cards participating in weekly play, right? You guys have been both?
Yeah, so I see like your point of view, Ricky, where it's nice, and Ron, to just go into the store and buy packs. That's great. They didn't know how successful this first round was going to be, so I get not releasing it to a grocery store paying for shelf space and
And it's
tab
early.
space.
It's early.
Yeah. So, and if it chooses to hang on and stay in, in a year or once they have enough to fill out full sets of, Twin Sun or whatever it is, once they have full sets, they'll be able to maybe support into the store type of thing once they realize, okay, we do have a fan base. But so I see that point of view, but I also see the point of view where it's like, listen, we're usually a smaller type of game. We want the money to go to the local stores. So, and it's always a fine line to walk between not flooding the market. So, because that's the thing, it's collectors of card games, they buy things if they're limited. So you want to keep an eye on the secondary market, unfortunately, like resells. And you don't still want to flood the market with everything because then collectors won't buy packs. Be like, oh, it's available for everybody and, that type of junk. But I like the idea that it really does. It forces people to go into their local comic book store or card store to meet people, because if it didn't force me to do that, I would probably be more embarrassed. But I've went to 2 tournaments now and like 4 pre-releases, and I've just met Star Wars fans. And you get to know these people once you repeat. I was joking around with all sorts of people last night, right before I got my butt handed to me. But it's nice to have that home-brewed fandom where you can go and just hang out with fans of the same thing. So I get the excitement for Pokemon and Magic the Gathering because you're making friends, really. And Star Wars is something we love. So it's great to connect in that point of view. But they're walking a fine line because you can also kill a game if you don't have stock.
Yeah.
And the only way if you do that is if the stores commit. Like my local store did not commit. They only bought 9 boxes. And I told them this game was going to be successful over and over again. And I just bought a few packs and release boxes and stuff like that. They all sold out immediately. Then they got a next wave in and they sold the price like at an 80% markup. And it was like, and they sold the boxes for a profit. So you're going to have 2 types of stores. You're going to have a store that sells boxes, which is just a box with, I think it's 24 packs of cards. So you're just going to have that sells cases of cards, or they're going to sell single packs of cards at huge markups. Nobody's going to buy, or people will buy, and it'll be very limited. Or you'll have another type of store that I have to drive like an hour and 20 minutes to that plays for the fan base. I'm telling you, they have cases and cases of stock, and he will not sell it to the general public. He uses it for prizes. So you pay like $15 for draft, and we can get into that in a minute. You get 3 packs. You all play together. You challenge each other. You have a couple rounds. You laugh. You build a deck. You be like, oh man, those are cool combos, and you might win packs as a prize. So you're good. Even though I paid, I think it was only $15 for my tournament the other day for standard premier format. And I only won 1 pack and 1 collector booster pack. So it's like, I didn't get my money's worth, but that wasn't the point of it. The point of it was playing the game. I mean, the people who ranked top 8, they got like 5 or 6 packs type of thing. So yeah, in the previous tournament that I played in, I did place 5th and I got like 7 packs. So it's, it ends out being better, but they have to watch stock, how much you're getting. And if you run out of stock, you can't do draft. You can't have people build their decks anymore, and it just disappears. And I got to say, from kind of a new player perspective, the card game scene has never been more flooded. Every single night is Pokemon tournaments, Magic the Gathering tournaments, Warhammer games, which isn't a card game, but still Warhammer takes up stuff. Lorcana came in hard swinging, and it has a huge fan base. A lot of the people that I talked to last night were like, I haven't played Star Wars Unlimited in like a month because Lorcana's had all my attention. Yeah. So
Lorcana just dropped an expansion too.
Yeah, so it's luckily they're separating it out because you don't want to compete with Disney Lorcana. Like, it's done extremely well, type of thing. I think you picked that up too, Ricky.
Yeah, I picked it up because I couldn't find any unlimited cards anywhere, so I started playing Lorcana.
Yeah, so and that's the thing. Disney has the backing of full Disney money, so they're like, we're going to put it right in stores because it's Disney.
And it wasn't a Fantasy Flight game. That's probably why too.
Yeah, that's Fantasy Flight's a little bit smaller than was it Ravensburger? I think it's Ravensburger.
They do all the villains.
And I love Ravensburger. Like you said, villainous, like all sort. If it says Ravensburger on a board game, I'm like, I'm gonna pick this up and read it. They're a fantastic, huge. They're the puzzle company that makes all sorts of crazy puzzles. So
They're like the
Ravensburger
new
has the
Milton
money. Yeah, they have the money to just put stuff in stores, and the backing in it. So the best thing we do is just hope that this kind of catches up to it.
So like right now, if you want to start playing, Ron, you said you just saw some at your local place. There's a starter set that came out when this dropped back in what was it, April? This came out, right? March, April. The starter set comes with 2 fully built decks. It comes with the little damage markers and a couple of playmats made from the paper ones that come in there. Nice little poster kind of style thing. So those retailed for $35, I believe. That's what I bought it for the day. I went the day after release day and bought a set and bought 6 booster packs, and that's been all I found so far since it came out. So I'm anxious that it gets more.
So I have one in hand, a 2-player starter set, and yeah, it comes, that 2-player starter set comes with everything one would need to get into gameplay. And it comes with 2 decks that are specifically built, a good guy deck and a bad guy deck, if you will. Luke Skywalker as a leader in base, and we'll get into the gameplay a little bit, and a Vader one, and then the various tokens that are necessary. And like Ricky said, these two cool posters that you flip them over help you to understand the gameplay, the game board play, and where to put cards that you have cards that you're using, and you have ground force cards, and you have space cards that can attack each other on both sides. Whatever. The one thing, you talked about the 35. I've seen to have found that to be nobody's really gouging that. I can't say that I've seen that gouged. I forget what there was something too, Ryan, the collectible card game piece, that there are specific cards that can only be had by purchasing a 2-player starter set. And I don't know what they are. I can't speak about them that well, but I know they exist in there. I think it's Luke and Vader and some other things, whatever. But there are some cards that the only way you can have them in your collectible card case, if you will, is you would have had to have bought a 2-player starter set. So from the collectability standpoint, you need to buy one of those, to have that collectible couple of cards. I think there's 4. I don't know. There's 2 in each deck. How many? What do you remember, Ryan, or what do you know?
As far as cards or leaders or what?
The special cards that were in the 2-player. Okay. They're only special. The exact same. So from
10.
There were 10 in Peace. So they're only special in terms of the artwork and what they look like. The power is the same. There's no difference from a gameplay standpoint. It's just from a collector standpoint, my standpoint, it's just a different card that the only way you could ever have that in your collection is to have bought a 2-player starter set. So there's apparently 10 of them in there.
Okay, that's the only way you can get the Vader and Luke, right? Leaders.
You also, so that's okay. So the easiest way to learn, we're not going to talk about how to play the game entirely. We'll just kind of give the bits and pieces. But the easiest way to learn the game is by one of the biggest board game sites on YouTube, Watch It Played. So Watch It Played with Rodney did his very first card game, because he usually only does board game reviews. I mean, he gets hundreds of thousands of views on board games. It's the main place. Yeah. He's never done a card game before, but he did Star Wars Unlimited. I'm sure he was paid a pretty penny, whatever. That's his job. So if you want to learn, go to Watch It Played and search Star Wars Unlimited. He's excellent at it. He breaks it down. You can watch the video. He does gameplay of it. And then, so you at least get the general idea of how to play. And if you come back and listen to this again a second time or whatever, you'll understand the terms. So like Ron mentioned, the starter set is specifically built, is 2 pre-built decks with it's a leader, and that's the great thing about this game. You can build any deck you want with boosters, because like we said, the booster packs are nigh impossible to find right now. I have a couple places near me that still sell, but they're hidden, a type of thing. So the booster packs, which are just essentially expansions to build a deck, are hard to find. But you can go on eBay right now and get 2-player starter decks for close to MSRP, so $25 to $35. You can go to TCG Player and you can get these 2 pre-built decks. They each have their own leader. One is Luke, one is Vader. They each have their own base because the point of the game is to defeat the other player's base. So you have a big leader. Imagine the leader on the board, and then he deploys into the army and he comes out and he does all this big crazy stuff. So the 2-player deck is a great way to start, and they have the Luke and Vader. But like you guys mentioned, there's alternate Luke Invaders, and that's in the pre-release kits, which those can't be found because the pre-release kit is just 6 booster packs with the, I think it's not really alternate art. It's just kind of like full art type of thing of Luke and Vader. But you can only get those 2 leaders from the starter / booster packs. You can't get them in, pre-release packs. You can't get them in booster boxes, in booster packs or boxes, or you can't get them anywhere. So that's neat because you can buy that. You get those 2 leaders. There's 10 cards in there that can't be found in booster packs. So it's a great way to start. They're weak decks, but they're great against each other to fill out. So that's
just look on Amazon. They are available on there, so at retail price. So you can, if you want to start playing, you can just order from Amazon. And you got your 2 pre-built decks.
And that other thing with the 2-player deck, they come with deck boxes. Cool little, they're cardboard, but so that's a thing to hold the deck and keep the cards organized so that you keep your Luke deck and separate from your Vader deck. And if I recall, I think the boxes are even Luke branded and Vader branded. The artwork on the boxes, whatever. The pre-release sets, I have one of those in my hand too. You said right, it was 6 packs, but it also had
another Luke and Vader in them.
Oh, did it have another Luke and Vader? But it had the counters. It had the little things to help with the gameplay, and a fancier deck box inside of it of some sort. Just to help you. It was that pre-release set, which, as you said, is very hard to come by these days, I'm sure. But if they were to do it again for the next round or something, that pre-release set I found very handy as well because it had a bunch of packs in it, but it also had a nice deck box. Somewhere to organize and start. My nephew to start, collecting your cards and keeping them somewhere. That was Star Wars themed. We can brand, that's a whole nother show. There's all kinds of great stuff out there that you can buy if you really get into it to have. But that pre-release set was an awesome way to get a bunch of cards because of the 6 packs that were in it. And then, but are incredibly hard to find. And then buying a full or having access to a full box, that the full box and the cards that are in there to the collectible card gaming aspect, the fun of it, like you said, and guys talked about a little bit about that secondary market. There's the opportunity to open a pack of cards and just, what's in there? It's am I going to pull a Mickey Mantle rookie card? They're just, I don't know. At this point, we didn't know what cards were hard to come by or which ones is somebody's rookie card. So to us, every card is like, but as we open more and more decks and we get, 6 of this one card, we're like, okay, this is obviously the common dupe. There is, Ryan, right? There is a small little marker or whatever you want to say on the bottom of the card, I think, that indicates whether it's common, rare, legendary, or there's some way to tell on the card that it's got some specialness to it from that sense, right?
Yeah, and just like any TCGs, I'm sure Ricky knows too, that they have, this one just has a C on the bottom for common, U for uncommon, R for rare. Legendaries are very hard to find, like 1 in 12 or more packs. And I've opened up 40 packs and barely get any legendaries. But they're good cards, and they have value, and they're super powerful and game changing. So,
you get the ones that's cool with the full art.
Well, from the total noob standpoint, you say, it's like that for all card collecting games, but I didn't know that. I had no concept that they put. That's what's all that stuff that's on a Pokemon card. Now that I look at a Star Wars Unlimited card, I kind of understand and recognize it. But as being a total noob to it, didn't realize all those there's a lot of information on the backs of those cards or the front of those cards, whatever you want to say. That when you look at that, once you understand it, there's a lot going on there. It's again, I don't want to say it's daunting to scare anybody away, but to look at it first, you're just like, oh my goodness, there's a lot on there. But once it's explained to you, and once you understand what those various things are trying to tell you, then you know what to look for versus common, uncommon, legendary. But there is something too, Ryan, right? That beside the legendary and common, that little symbol or whatever, there's also alternative art. There's the hyperspace cards.
Yes, so it's more along the line of well, there's full art, which is like the hyperspace, which is just good for collectors because all the cards just have a border around it. But then you get full art, aka hyperspace cards, and they just look nicer. They're the art's all the way to the edge. It just looks like a nice, clean card. So if people want to buy the game just to collect cards, they all have they're all numbered on the bottom. You can get a checklist. You can check cards off. You might be able to trade some, just try to even it out type of thing. So if you want to collect, that's great. Like I said, the easiest way to start is to watch it played, and then try to get into it, because if Ron, who's never played a CCG, can get into it, probably anybody can get into it, because
my nephew and his dad picked it up with that 2-player. I got them a 2-player starter set so that he would have those special cards in his collection and so that they could play. They picked it up and played and started, reading from the instructions and playing, and they had never played those games or whatever. So it is easy in that sense, and had fun with it, had fun with the gameplay. So the 2-player starter set, I didn't realize this till I'm like 3-4 sessions into playing it, whatever, that I would always play the good guy map or the good guy fold out gameplay thing to help us learn where the cards go, the ground side, the space side. Well, when you do that, ground is on your left and space is on your right. What I didn't realize is with the person on the other side that's playing the bad guy set, space is on.
It's opposite. Yeah.
It's opposite. Space is on the left and ground's on the right. So it does kind of, it's almost in terms of how you learn to play. It doesn't affect anything, but you just have to be. That's the one thing I think you need to be aware of, that if you go in playing somebody that was used to also being a good guy, if you will, so to speak, where space is on the right, when you're looking and facing each other, and the way you play this game is across the table from one another, and the way you line up the cards, that's the only thing I would say that has to be pointed out, that it can get, you'd be like, wait, what's going on? Why are you putting them over there? They're supposed to be over here.
Being in the left. That's just how I'm used to playing.
And it's just like, no, it's supposed to be. And from a noob, I'm like, what are you doing? You're confusing the out of me. That's supposed to be over here. He's like, no, it's over here. And that's what I realized, the posters and the way that the gameplay has to be, that it has to be backwards depending on which way you go. So I think the etiquette, Ryan, is just you just have to know that, I guess. And however it starts, or whoever lays down the first, whoever deploys, what's the terminology to whatever?
Yeah,
then
deploy.
Whoever deploys a ground force, if they put it on the left, which is going to be your right, being the player against them, then that's where ground forces go. It's not specific to what you learned, which was my awakening.
Just to cover on those terms so people understand, and that's kind of the other cool thing about this game is, and again, I'm not huge, but I know the main game, Pokemon, Lorcana, Magic, so I know kind of the main games. There might be other ones, but I like that this game has 2 different types of attack arenas, you could say. Like I said, you have your base, which you don't really protect per se, because it's the opponent's choice to attack the base or attack your units. And you have 2 types of units. So you can deploy ships into space, which is just, let's just say the left side of the board if you go first or whatever. Or you can deploy a bunch of ground units. And that's where like the strategy comes in, because if you have too many ground units and your opponent plays space units, which is just cards played on the board, the left side or the right side, so you have to plan for both type of thing. And you can go all space, but then the ground is usually going to be the stronger card, just because the characters are more noticeable, and you could leave yourself wide open. So that's a good strategy, is challenging yourself
cool
to
when
balance.
you're playing it. It is like you're watching a Star Wars movie or playing something. You got the base, which could be like Cloud City, so you're trying to protect Cloud City from the other people, and so you have your ground forces that are like your rebel troopers and stuff like that. Then you have your X-wings in the air doing the air battle. So and while you're playing, it's like you're going back and forth. So from a standpoint, looking at the board when you're playing, it really is immersive, like you actually are in a Star Wars. It's cool. But
I'll try as a noob to try to describe the gameplay, and then you guys fix me, correct me, and add to it, perhaps whatever. That you have your deck of cards, 60 cards, from a very basic standpoint, right? There's all sorts of different types of gameplay, but from that very basic standpoint, you have your deck of cards, you deal yourself 6, and out of your hand that you're doing. You have to pick a couple of those cards and sort of burn them as resources. Just turn them face down and just no, you can't do anything with what's on them. They're just a card that is used as a way to pay as a resource. That's literally what they're called, as a resource, to then bring out other cards that are in your hands. And those cards will have resource value, whether they're a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, they go up there or whatever. So at first, that first hand, when you put it down and you put down 2 resources, you can only play 1 or 2 cards, a card that's worth 1 resource, card that's worth 2 resources. But that's how the gameplay builds as you move on and move on. You get more resources that let you get more cards out. That the gameplay is can be kind of quick. It's not a daunting, long process game. The base only takes 30 hits, so it doesn't take long. It doesn't take many rounds for a game to be over.
I just so a little note, I watched one round yesterday go 40 minutes. So
on the
and again,
norm,
that's just
right.
Just for
they
noobs.
Had fancy, they were doing what's that called? They were doing
control. Yeah.
Yeah, they were.
So,
but a normal out of the 2-player deck, let's say the 2-player starter set, the gameplay, you play for a little, and you've destroyed the base, and you reset, regroup, shuffle the cards, and play again, and it's a different game the second time. It's not even it's not Monopoly where it's the same thing over and over again. You're just trying to roll back. It's a completely different game. So you can play 3, 4, 5 times in the span of maybe an hour with that 2 players, with the initial starter deck to get a feel for how the gameplay goes. Then you get into deck building and all the fancy advanced stuff, and it turns into one round would go good 20, 30 could go that long.
I want to touch on the resource thing real quick, because that's the other thing I loved about this game, is that for anybody that's played Magic and Pokemon, you have a deck of 50 or 60 whatever cards it is, and in that deck is your resources. Think of it like money. So your characters cost something to put onto the board. Like you said, Ron, cost of 1 resource or money, whatever you want to call it. Well, with Magic and Pokemon, you have to have a certain type of AKA resource money. So if you want to play a swamp character in Magic, you have to have a swamp card in your deck. So if you have multiple colors like swamp and forest or swamp and island or sky, anything like that, you have to just cross your fingers and hope that you pull the card that allows you to play. Same with I don't know what the energy
Pokemon.
is
Yeah,
called.
Pokemon. You can have
I know
Pikachu is like a electric energy, so you'd have to have electric energy cards in your deck, which takes up space in your deck of 60. You can only have 60 cards. That's the limit. So maybe 20 of those if you're a new player is energy cards, or maybe if you're really good and have a bunch of tools that'll help you recycle your energies, you'll have maybe 10. But then that's the difference between this and Pokemon is you can have 70 cards in your unlimited deck because it's unlimited.
Yeah,
and anything can be an energy. Anything can be a resource.
Yeah, that's what I love about this is you draw those 6. Everything is a card that you want. So if you draw your first hand and it's 6 lightning bolts from Pokemon, you're screwed. You can't do anything. But this is you pull what you want, and everything can be placed. Obviously, you have to have some tactical ability and be like, okay,
that's definitely the challenge, Ryan, because I pull 6 cards, I look at them and go, well, I like all these. I don't want to have to burn any of them. I don't want to have to turn them into resources, which is what you have to do. So it adds my nephew got frustrated with that too. It's just well, I like all these. It was well,
I already know I'm not.
You don't have to resource, but if you don't resource, you don't have any. Like Ryan said, you don't have any money to spend.
I'm not resourcing a lightsaber, or I'm not resourcing Vanquish every time because I'm keeping
right.
I pulled. Yeah. I didn't know. I had no. I had an Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan's my favorite character. So I'm not resourcing. I'm keeping him. He's he costs 6. He's expensive, and I couldn't play him. I couldn't play him. I'm just well, he's still cool. I'm gonna keep him in my hand. I kept him in my hand.
I'll put him down one day.
I'll put him down one day. Finally, I got to a round to where I could put him down or whatever, and I didn't know the gameplay. I was learning it at the time. The guy was teaching me and everything, and I finally got to play him, and I was excited to play him. That's the fun I've had in it in terms of just the learning how to play and play. That I have learned that as a noob and getting into this, that there are people that have gotten into it because they like the game play. They played Magic and Lorcana and Pokemon. They played all the other things, and they're liking from a higher level, they're liking the gameplay and the deck building and what they can do to do all of that, to play the game. And I was liking the gameplay from learning how to play it. So I think it's successful in that sense, that it's working for both new people and seasoned card game playing folks. Big time.
That was the major difference between this with me and Pokemon, because for Pokemon you need to have like I said, you put a Pikachu down and he has like, you know, a power move that costs 3 energies and you don't only have like 1, you know, so you can't attack until you have enough. This one, as long as you have him on the board and during the attack phase, you can attack with whatever, you know, their hit points are. So that's the cool aspect of it. Just
and one
the
thing
strategy of like keeping some in and putting him down. You know,
we've talked about the one thing I wanted to mention and forgot to, the gameplay. We've talked about having ground forces and space forces attacking a base. The how you're playing against each other. Ground forces can only attack the opposite your opponent's ground forces or the base. Space forces can only attack your opponent's space forces or the base. And so that's where the deploying and trying to keep it even. If you only put out ground, your opponent only put out space, you're just going to attack each other's space. That's where it gets into the gameplay aspect of the strategy aspect, the part that's fun of, you know, how to do. But you have to understand that, you have to know that as you play the game.
Wait for that Poe Dameron card where he can attack the ground troops.
All right. So, and then it's a strafing gunship. So, but anyway, and there is different types for the more seasoned people to play. So regular format is just called standard or premier format. So you have a minimum deck of 50. You can put 100 in if you want, type of thing. But you have less of a chance to pull stronger cards. And honestly, there's sometimes you have a 50 card deck, you don't even make it halfway through. So I think 50's that's one thing I had to learn. I was doing 60, 62 card decks because I loved everything. And I'm like, no, you gotta trim it back, man. So, and it's just, you have 50 card decks and it's 1 versus 1. First one to knock the base out. That's it. You either play best of 1 or best of 3. That's standard that like most people know about. And then there's other stuff that has grown from Magic for draft, which is how you pretty much purchase pack. It's how the stores get you to purchase packs, because if you build a deck that you love, you're not going to buy any more packs. But there's a gameplay called draft where you're like, okay, I want to buy some packs and I want to change it up. And what it is you play with a group of people, you get 3 packs, you open up the packs kind of one at a time, and then you pass the packs. So it's like got this sense of randomness where I don't feel comfortable playing, because if there's something really good in that pack, I'm like, yo, I don't want to pass it to the left. It has, you know, a Saw Gerrera in it. And I want that. I pulled 1, but there's a secondary card in there that I love. So you kind of got to yank out the 1 card you're allowed to take, and then everyone passes the pack. And you build the deck from scratch. It's almost the same as pre-release. So if you go to a pre-release, they give you 6 packs in a box. You open your own 6 packs. You build your own deck. But draft is kind of, you all share. You each have 3 decks, but you all pass them to the left or you pass them to the right. You all take out 1 card and you build. Some people like it. It's not something that I've really tried. You've tried it, right, Ron?
So yeah, as a total noob, my first foray into anything organized like that. A small shop, I don't want to say it's near me, I got to drive a bit, but a small shop near me has maybe 10 people that have played over the organized stuff money. They were having something May the 4th, actually, May the 4th Saturday, whatever. And we're doing the draft on Saturday and the other one on Sunday. And I knew I was going to be cannon fodder. I had no problem going into it, being the noob. You know, everybody I told, you know, I'm going to need help with this. I had a crash course about how draft works, where we paid our fee. We each got 3 packs. We opened a pack, and you pick 1 card out of it and pass it to the left. The first round, you pass it to the right. The next round, however it goes, whatever. And it was weird because I didn't know how to build a deck at the time. I had a very vague concept of how to build a deck, but I was also there as the card collector.
Oh, this guy's cool.
Yeah,
like, oh, this is cool.
I'm opening a deck and I'm like, oh, there's a hyperspace card, which is the full art, and you know, I'm like, well, I know I don't have this. I'm sure, I don't know if I don't know whatever, but these are hard to come by, so I want this. So I was picking collectible cards also, or there's a fancy foil on each deck. So I'm like, oh, I don't think I've seen this one in my stash before. I should really be better at knowing what cards I have. Where the other guys, the players, were trying to build decks. I think I fared fairly well because they were all trying to build bad guy decks. So they were fighting each other as the draft goes, as Ryan was saying, how you see this deck, you can only pick one card out of it. It's going to go around the horn out of the group of 8 people that are in there. So you're probably not going to, that other card that you like, it's not going to be there the next time. So it's very challenging in that sense if you really want to play and like, oh, I don't know, but that's the nature of the draft gameplay. That's true for everybody. So that hindrance, if you will, towards building a powerful deck is true for everybody as you pass them around. But it was fun in that sense of just building the deck. And I kind of thought even gameplay because everybody had the same problems of not being able to fully flesh out a deck that works for them, and resources that you needed, or the aspects, you just turn those into resources, all that sort of stuff. But it was a way to get cards. As Ryan said, it was a way for the store to allow, I knew I was getting out of there with 3 packs worth of cards, 16 times 3, whatever that is. So, and had fun. I again knew I was cannon fodder and going into it. I think I won. I was proud of myself and was excited to tell Ryan and Ricky that I won at least one round. I didn't win any games, obviously. I got killed, But I did once defeat somebody's base. So that takeaway and walked away with a bunch of new cards. So that takeaway for me was perfect. I had a fun time that night.
Now Pokemon doesn't have anything like that, does it, Ricky?
No, they don't. No, there's only 2 types that I'm aware of. Is raid, where you have those big giant cards and everybody like tries to attack and take them down, which is like
neat.
Yeah, pretty much, and that's pretty much with the past like 2-3 years they started doing that. And then there's just the standard tournament play. But I think the difference is there's 2 different types of regular play. There's standard and expanded. Standard is the cards that are in current rotation, which are they rotate out cards every season, which is every year, because it's been going on for like 25 years, So,
and Magic is the same way. There's so many. You can play historical. You can play Pauper, where you only play cards that cost less than $1. You can play only the new sets, and like you said, they rotate out every 3 years. I think they just moved from 2 to 3 years. I think it is to kind of, I guess,
they do it
keep
every
you
August
buying things.
So Star Wars Unlimited has draft and then has what's the deck builder, or we bring your own deck. Premier, that's what they did Sunday. So that little shop Sunday, and I didn't go to that one because I didn't have it. They had you just show up, you paid your entry fee, and you brought your deck, and they just all played against each other round robin style to see who came out on top and won whatever prizes they had, kind of thing. Right, that's common. Or that they brought their deck, so there was no sort of, like you say, incentive. There was from a prize standpoint of getting cards,
and Ricky can touch, I guess, after this. But that's the other thing I love about this game is that the stores that bought a certain amount of boxes, knowing that they're going to support play, they were given for free like 3-card booster packs of only hyperspace alternate art cards. Not super powerful, nothing crazy strong. It's just a replacement. Like I replaced some Sabine Wrens, I replaced some Stormtroopers in my deck. Nothing crazy or legendary, nothing like that. But they give those to the players, and then they give you extra boxes to hand out as packs for winning. And then I haven't seen that with Magic. Like when you go to a pre-release, that's all you really get. And then when you go to like tournaments, it's like, well, that's what you get type of thing. So I don't know if Pokemon, they gave you packs for.
Yeah, Pokemon League, they have booster packs that are kind of their own little set that you get when you go every week. So.
Okay, yeah. So that's good.
My shop was doing that just for participating, just to come on the night of the week, just for normal gameplay nights. And if you showed up, participate and just played, or you got one of those packs. And so me and my nephew were doing that. We were going and once we found out that those were unique cards, collectible cards, that the only way you can get them is from that participation pack and that 3-card pack. And I think it's a set of 20, that it's going to be a challenge to collect all 20. But between us, I think we might have we've traded our dupes that we've had and have been going and trying to get there. But yeah, then also playing in the tournaments and getting those. So it does seem very cool and very neat the way whoever was making them or whatever, that the collectible card game is also there, or they're doing well by that.
I haven't got to an unlimited tournament or play thing or pre-release anything, but do you guys have like a player ID? Because I know with Pokemon you do, and when you go, you have to give them your ID number and they put you down. You win.
There was something to that because our small little shop asked if I had signed up yet for whatever, and I said no, or I said I will for that turn. He said, yeah, do it for the tournament. It'll help them get credit for having people there and playing, and then it would keep track of my I need to go look at it or whatever, because I was excited because I thought, because I did that and registered and had a number and he was tracking it and entering it for his store credit and all that sort of blah, blah, blah. Somewhere I'm on the books. Somewhere it's recorded that I won that it was 2-1 or whatever it was. It's somewhere I got proof that that it's out there. I was excited about that.
Yeah, they do on Star Wars Unlimited. You don't have to do profile, but it's kind of recommended that you do so they can track you. Not really, I shouldn't say track you, but so they can, if you do play regular tournaments, right. Obviously the professional people do it right away because they want to get to those bigger, almost statewide tournaments when we start reaching it. But then there's also there's been a problem with the website, I believe, recently, and my local store has been just using Top Deck, which supports all sorts of games. And it helps create brackets for the store. So it just randomizes 30, 16, whatever you want amount of people. It randomizes them. It puts them in bracket. It keeps your wins and losses, and it automatically assigns other players of equal play. So the first one's round, totally random where you can get stomped. And then the second one is players of similar strength to you. But yeah, I did have to sign up for that. I've only used it once. The sites had problems, so they've only been using Top Deck, my local store. That's just to help them to track rounds.
Hey, I will say, as a noob going into, I was very nervous and worried and concerned. Oh my God, you don't know anything about. But I've found the community, again, a very small community, but everybody's been incredibly welcoming. Even the power guys that come in with their I'm going to say this term like I know it. I didn't know it at the time, but this net deck. So there's a term where they just go out to the internet and find, here's all the cards you need to build a powerful deck. They go buy all those cards and then they show up and play. So I'm playing this guy with his net deck. And I'm like, dude, I have my Luke deck from the 2-player starter set. I'm willing to play. I don't care if I get, I just want to play. And he was like, all right, that they've been very accommodating, very friendly, not, oh, geez, basement of the science building or comic book guy is what I'm trying to think of, just turning their nose up at what are you showing up here wasting my time, whatever. The community, at least for me, has been very welcoming in that sense. And I think that's true pretty much across the board, that they understand you got to coddle, that there's going to be new people. You need new people to get into it so that they then become seasoned people and can play at a higher, and then get their own net deck, and then you can truly fight each other, or play each other at a higher level. But yeah, I find
you're getting it on the ground floor right now, starting off with the first set.
Yeah, so. and that's nice. This first set is really basic for even people that played Pokemon Magical Crown or whatever. It's basic. There is a lot to learn. Like you said, you watch the video, you learn the terms like ambush, sentinel, shield, saboteur, restore, raid. So there are powers that certain cards have, but you can just learn those with play. A lot of them have the directions on the card. And then the last format that they have is something that I do, I might be wrong, but Magic the Gathering, to my knowledge, started it in the 90s in some back room with judges where they call it Commander, where you have one card and it leads a 100-card deck, and it's specifically designed for multiplayer. So all these other things we've been doing have only been 1 versus 1 in brackets. Well, they created Commander, Magic did, where you can play 4 people at a table, and it's you just attack everybody. It's just 4 people just throwing cards. I'm going to attack you. I'm going to attack you. Don't attack me. If you don't attack me, I won't attack you next round. So it's a lot more face-to-face. You talk to people. I haven't tried it yet. It seems like a lot, but because I'm worried about being targeted, if you have too strong of a deck, everyone's going to gang up on you. But they'll have, so Star Wars Unlimited has one, and it's called, and I love the name, it's called Twin Suns. So as we mentioned, it's a multiplayer format where you can play, I think it's up to 4 people at a table with your own cards or whatever, and it's the last one standing wins. Well, no, that's the great thing about it. Commander is last one standing wins in Magic. So if you get out first, you may have to wait 30 minutes while the other 2 people get eliminated. But in Twin Suns, as soon as one person dies, the person with the most health wins. So again, from a designer standpoint,
Right.
they
Sorry,
beat it
Ryan.
quickly.
So say that again. So it's multiplayer. The first base that's out that has all 30 taken off of it. And I know there's others too, but anyway, the first base that's taken out. At that point, you look at everyone else's base, and whoever has the least amount of hits is who wins.
Yes. So in
all right.
Twin Suns, remember I said regular standard format is you have 1 leader and 1 base, and it's 1v1. In Twin Suns, what I love is you have 2 leaders and 1 base. So they're designed with great synergy where you can play Leia and Chewbacca, Han and Chewbacca. You can play Vader and Palpatine type of as leaders. So you have like now super powerful decks with even more stuff on it. You can deploy 2 leaders to the field type of thing. And I guess you can call it the win condition. Instead of being eliminated first and be like, I'm going to go eat dinner, I'll be back in 30 minutes. It's the first player to have their base defeated triggers the end of the game. It is now the last round of play. So all play continues for 1 round for the remaining players. And the winner is determined by player with the most remaining health, or lowest health, as you call it, lowest damage to the base.
Lowest damage.
So, but the trick is like any player eliminated allows the attacker to heal 5. So there's like this really big strategy to maybe get that last +5 health by eliminating somebody. But yeah.
Oh, so at the end of the round, you can take out. Somebody took out a base at 30. If somebody else's base is at 28. You can eliminate them because you said that last round has to play out. You could choose to eliminate them, which will then give you 5 health.
Yeah. So Twin Suns, it's become the biggest game format in Magic the Gathering. People love it. It's played regularly. It's not a competitive scene. It's strictly for playing fun against 4 people. And
4 people, right? You're not that one person. Because I tend to find once at least in my small little shop, that once we've established 2 players playing, we don't really have the time. We don't round robin and get enough time. We don't get to playing others that showed up. Like we pair up and then we end up staying that way for the evening, and then it's time to go. But we also talk a lot, and I'm a noob and talk a lot with my gameplay of how to get to there. And another nice part of the gameplay, I think, too, with a couple of the new guys that I've played who are also learning, we've gotten to the point where, all right, your base is destroyed, but we kept playing a couple more rounds just to see how it would play out, or see if we could play our 6 resource card, because we've never gotten a chance to what it does or how it works. Because as you talked about, the cards say on there, they have instructions as to what they do, what they can do, or if this thing's out there. Again, I'm going to use daunting, and daunting's not the right term. I just didn't understand it at the time, but now that I do, the one piece of advice, or the one thing that I can say is, it's the wording on the cards is to be taken very literally as to what it says. It will say it can attack a ground force, or it will say it can attack a force, or that's not the right thing. That sometimes
a unit or a friendly or an opponent,
a friendly or unit or whatever. And so sometimes it'll say ground unit, so it can only attack a ground unit, or the action can only be or it'll just say a unit, which means it could be a ground unit or a space unit. The one thing that one of the cards that I remember reading, it said, choose any player and have them deal an extra card to their hand. I'm like, why would I give any of my opponents an extra card in their hand? And it was pointed out to me, I am a player in the game too. The card says choose any player and have them add a card to their hand. So it was instructed to me, it was coached up to me that you are a player in the game. You can choose yourself. I'm like, well, that's not what it means. And it's like, no, that's what it says. choose
Yeah,
a
that's
player.
what it says.
You are a player, so don't read, don't read into. I kept reading into it because I'm thinking, well, this is a card that's to be played against my opponent, or it goes that way. And it says if it says choose a player, you're a player. I can't think of another good example like that, but my point to all that is whatever it says, you take that literally and interpret it literally, because that's its intent.
We could be like
Yeah,
Ryan
and
and keep
that's-
pulling out Imperial troops with your
Yeah.
Vader card.
Yeah, and that's, I was learning there. To me, it was like, well, play 10 and play all of them. Like, okay, so I did play it wrong. I will admit that.
But there's the
Right.
resources though. While we were playing, we were like, okay, let's look it up. So there's, if you have questions like that, you could always go, find the answer. And these are all new cards, so nobody really knows, exactly. So
Yeah. And for new players, like you said, Ron, that is an amazing piece of advice, because I've been told that so many times. It's like, just read the card. Don't think of don't put any other words in.
Yep,
Don't
yep.
say what if, just say choose a unit. You're a unit and he's a unit. It does not say ground or space. If they wanted it to be ground or space, it would say
It would
ground.
say
It's
it.
like,
Yep, that's what I had to learn. It
be
would say it.
literal in every way. So in this, so I guess some of the leaders, so because again, people have their favorite characters. So for set 1, the leaders were, like I said, you get a leader and a base. The bases are general. You can have the swamp, echo base, whatever it may be. They're just bases. They're all
they don't have any
interswappable.
special aspect, anyways. They're just all
Oh, it's-
worth 30, right?
Well, no. Remember, some are worth 25. I
Yeah,
don't know
then
if
you
you've
get
seen-
those fancy ones that are 25 that
You have-
have
Really?
something to do. Yeah.
Oh, you haven't seen any? Okay.
No, I don't think I've seen it.
Well, keep an eye out for mail. So anyway, but bases, like I said, bases are worth 30, but bases with abilities are worth 25. They have one-time use, epic actions like give a shield unit to a token, you give a character ambush, which allows them to attack. So again, do you want to lower the health in your base just to get another ability? That's again another balance in the game.
Yeah.
So, and again, people like characters, so I'll just list some characters from set 1, and then we can talk about set 2, because I don't think you guys have seen the characters. So again, you got Jyn Erso, you got Han Solo as leader, Boba Fett, he seems to be the strongest right now. You got Thrawn, which is interesting to see in the first set. I guess they did include some rebels, so that's why they include him. Cassian Andor's the leader, Sabine Wren, IG-88, Grand Inquisitor. So, and that's the cool thing, you could build decks around these characters. Like you have Fifth Brother in the game, you have Second Sister as units, so you can build these lightsaber units that are very thematic. You can build Sabine with Chopper and with Kanan and with Ezra as units in the deck. So I love thematic decks.
That's cool.
So as we said, Vader, Leia is the one that I really like because she's rebel. Tarkin you can play, Hera Syndulla, Emperor Palpatine is crazy strong, Luke Skywalker, Chewbacca, Chirrut Îmwe, Iden Versio, and Director Krennic. So the first wave, I guess you can call it, or set, had a lot of known characters. They had the big ones, and then they have some characters. It's like a lot of people may not know who Iden Versio is or Hera Syndulla. So it has stuff for all levels of fans, where it's like, okay, yeah, I know who Thrawn is. I want to try me a Thrawn deck type of thing. So those are some of the leaders. So have you guys seen any of the leaders for the second set? Maybe a
No,
handful.
I can't say I've heard or seen anything about a second. I'm still wrapping my head around this first one.
Yeah,
Are you kidding
Just
me?
from what
I
you
don't need a second one yet.
So
So
we can talk about some of them. So
the first
second
one
set,
was Spark of Rebellion, so that's all rebel stuff. So this one, what's it called? Shadows of
so the next one is Shadows of the Galaxy. It's more of an underground thing. And it introduced, I guess this is more for you guys, we're getting to a little bit more advanced talk, but introduced 2 more traits in it. So raid, shield it and stuff like that. Well, now it introduced smuggle and bounty. So this is heavily into the underworld, where you have a lot of bounty hunters, you have Mandalorians, and it's those 2 plays are certainly add almost countless things to the game. So just so I can explain to you guys, so smuggle it allows you to play a card from your resource deck for maybe a little bit more increased cost. So if the card is cost 1, but it's in your resource pile, so you can pick up your resource pile, you can look through if anything has the term, red letters, smuggle, you can play it for maybe a cost of 3 instead of 1. So it's almost like other decks look at your hand and make you discard things. So you can put that Obi-Wan Kenobi, per se, into the resource deck if it has smuggle. Like I said, you have to have smuggle. And then you can smuggle a character from your resources and be like, chabow, you didn't know I had this in my resources. I'm going to throw out whatever this character is. So it did introduce smuggle, which is quite surprising. It allows you to hide cards and play them for maybe a little bit more expensive later.
That's kind of cool, but then you lose a resource.
No. Once you play it from smuggle, you just take the top card of your deck and replace it.
Oh, okay.
So so if that top card of your deck could be amazing, or like you said.
Oh yeah, right. So you have to factor that in there because you don't know what that top card is, so you're burning that top card, but you know what that resource is. So that's a neat the gameplay trade off.
But if you have R2D2 in your deck, you can look at the top card if you
exactly C3PO like R2, they allow you to see the top cards of your deck. So that is 100% true. Then the other one they introduced is Bounty, and this is where it gets a little confusing. So there's a lot of bounty hunters in this, and this is exciting when we go over them. So Bounty is you assign a bounty to any character on the board. It can be your own character, unit, I should say. I'll stick to words here, or your opponent's units. And Bounty is whoever kills that character, they collect the bounty. And the bounty allows the opponent to collect some sort of benefit. Like, I'll just read one, for example. Halaban Enforcer has bounty. So if this unit is defeated, when this unit is defeated or captured, your opponent collects its bounty. And the bounty is draw a card. So and you can have, upgrades or events, so if I can assign an upgrade card to your card, aka put a bounty on it, and then I can kill that card, and just for killing that card, I collect its bounty, which is draw a card, heal health, and stuff like that. So I love that aspect where we're playing a lot of bounty hunters. You can assign them a bounty, kill them, and collect the bounty, aka bounty. So if you assign it to your own character and it gets killed, your opponent collects the bounty. It's whoever kills the character, the opponent. Even if you kill your own character, because you can kill your own units, the opponent still collects the bounty. So
you can kill your own units how? By attacking, knowing that if I attack you and it's only going to put 2 damage on your guy that has 5 health, but he's going to kill me. That is how I killed my own guy and would be able to collect the bounty on him.
Well, remember, if your own character has a bounty, only the opponent can collect the bounty, even if you gave the bounty. The bounty is just an upgrade, like a lightsaber.
Well, wait. You just said you could kill your own guy to collect the bounty, and now you're changing it. So no, you can't collect a bounty on your own guy if you put it on him. Or if
I'm saying you can put it on your own guy, but your opponent. So I don't know if there's some trick yet. But
putting a bounty on your own guy, yeah.
So you can't just if I place the bounty on your character, you can't just kill your own character and collect the bounty that I assigned. The bounty always goes to me. So think of Vader. Remember how Vader does 1 damage to a character, either your own or the opponent's? You can be like, okay, well, I'm just going to kill this card and I'm going to collect the bounty. No. The opponent always collects the bounty. So there might be powers that twist that down the road, but that's the general status of it. So it introduced smuggle and bounty.
Oh, so I see what you're saying. It's that if they put the bounty on this guy, then that hampers you from using him. You have to think about that in terms of using him if he's going to get destroyed. If he only, if in the attack on the opponent's unit, he's going to go away, because now he doesn't just go away. He goes away and gives the opponent a bounty. Well, whatever bounty's on it. So you put a bounty on a cheap guy, an easily destroyed guy.
Yeah.
That is an interesting bit of gameplay that's going to be.
It makes it really kind of fun. So I'll go over some of the leaders. And again, this is where it's going to get more advanced. I'll even read you guys some of the powers kind of quickly, and if you have questions, you can. So the main set, Shadows of the Galaxy, like Luke and Vader. The pre-release, I should say, the 2-player starter kit is Din Djarin the Mandalorian against Moff Gideon. Like those are the 2 lead decks for this one. So those are the
So I didn't know
2-player
they were
decks.
doing a starter set for this. Well, that's cool.
Yeah, they're in the
So
starter.
same sort of thing. A 2-player starter set, just like we have with Luke and Vader. They're going to do that for this next one. So that's cool.
And who's it? It's Din and
Moff.
Moff Gideon.
So Din's ability, just so I can read it to you guys when you talk about it, is you may exhaust this leader, so your leader unit. If you do, exhaust an enemy unit with 4 or less health, with 4 or less HP. So Mandalorian allows you to exhaust the opponent, which is good as long as he has 4 or less health. So I think to exhaust other players is a pretty good thing to do.
So a leader has an action they can do every turn, and then they have an epic action to where once they get deployed, they it's a little bit more powerful. What you just described, is that his every turn action, or is that his epic action?
And I guess we should touch on that. So again, like we said, there's leaders on the board. Once you get to a certain number of resources, you then can deploy the leader onto the ground. Who knows if space will be in the future, into the ground arena. And then that character has a lot of powers, has a lot of ability. Like you imagine Vader coming off of into
they're overpowered
and dropping into vehicle. Yeah, they're very strong. So, and they have like they said, the leader's always on the board, so he has abilities that are always active. If you use it, you can only use it once per turn, so you exhaust it or turn it sideways. He flips on the board and it becomes a powerhouse. So the ability that I play when you play an upgrade, and remember, bounties are upgrades. When you play an upgrade, you may exhaust this leader, just the leader. He's not a unit, he's a leader. So the every play, if you do, exhaust an enemy unit with 4 or less health. So you can play a upgrade, a bounty, let's just say, or a lightsaber. You can play an upgrade on your cards or the other cards, and then you get to exhaust one of their characters with 4 health. And characters with 4 health are usually they're usually in the stronger type. So that's his every play. His back is pretty much the same thing. When you play an upgrade, when he deploys onto the board, when you play an upgrade, you may exhaust an enemy unit with 6 or less remaining health. So I kind of like him. He's neat. And Moff is tap, so turn him sideways. Attack with a unit that costs 3 or less. If it's attacking another unit, it gets +1/+0. So he makes characters a little bit stronger. Like, you might be able to attack a 3 power character to 4 health, maybe do a little bit of damage to him. So he's not bad, but he has overwhelm when he lands on the board, and each friendly unit that costs 3 or less automatically gets +1. So if you have a lot of cheap units, they all get +1 when he deploys. So that's kind of neat.
I hate overwhelm.
So that +1, some of that terminology, you put a card out, and cards have how much damage they can deal and how much health they have. And so when a leader or when some action or something says, we'll give +1 or +2, +1 to all your things, whatever, it increases their damage capability by +2 and gives them health, an extra health point, +1 there. So it gets a little tricky to keep track of all of that. There's tokens and there's ways. The gaming community has ways to keep track of all of that sort of stuff. Because you just said it would give +1 to anything that was 3 or less. So if you have a bunch out there, there's a lot to keep track of that it's a +1. But yeah, it just, so that we just explain that terminology. That's what it was. All it was is just increasing that health or increasing that damage capability.
And there are other cards that have the +1 you put underneath it, so you can see it and it adds it. So
yeah, there are tokens you can buy. A lot of people use dice type of thing, so those are just things that you learn. The next character is Lando, and this is the Childish Gambino Lando. So that's a showcase that I want like crazy, man. Like imagine him with a
Donald Glover card.
Yeah, like that showcase. Imagine with like his boat shirt from Solo when he had the real colorful shirt, which is my main shirt in the Battlefront game. So I was like, oh man, Childish Gambino showcase would be sick.
So the showcase, we talked about the various collectible cards, how they came in the 2-player set or the special, if you participate, 3-card deck, and just various special art, and the hyperspace ones that were full art, no border. If I'm remembering, the showcase card is the uber special collectible, one in every 6 boxes or something, right? It's very hard to come across a showcase card, right?
Yeah, you're right.
What's the talk about the showcase card, Ryan?
So the showcase, they're the ultimate rares in the game. So whatever it is in Pokemon, it's like the one, like I said, I've opened over 40, 50 packs. I've never even seen one. They're worth hundreds of dollars. And it can only be leaders. So that's the excitement of opening up the pack and then flipping over the cards real quick. And if you see that showcase, because that's, again, they told us, they designed it so the most exciting card in the deck will be right there on top. And you want that excitement where you're like, oh! And if you flip it over, you're like, yeah, type of thing. So
Ryan, I don't mean to interrupt, but to explain also that, right, the decks are always structured. When you open it up out of a pack, it's always structured the same way, that there's a leader, right? You flip it and right, you see a leader and a base, and then we keep going, or no, we just see a leader.
Yeah.
What? And
It's
then the last card's always a foil. All right,
Correct.
so there's
It's
always a
always the
leader when you flip it over. There's a foil at the end of it. And then my nephew taught me this quick trick that he fans through all 15, 16 cards real quick, because the hyperspaces stand out really, really quickly. All the other ones have a black border. So if you think about fanning your cards so you can just see the edges of them, you can tell real quick if you got yourself a hyperspace. So he's real quick to find, when we were opening pack after pack, he was real quick he learned that and showed me, here's how you tell, which ones are new. But yeah, we've opened a number of decks as well, or a number of packs as well, and we haven't seen a showcase yet. So they're uber rare to come by.
The showcase is foil, full art from edge to edge, and alternate art. So it's different style, different stance, different artist type of thing. So those are the really collectible cards. So when I say, oh man, this showcase, I just can't wait to see it. And again, I haven't heard what the showcase is or even how many there'll be in this next deck, but usually every leader has one. Man, a Childish Gambino one, that'd be sick. So anyway, Lando's
I'm trying to find a picture of it. I can't find it anymore.
of what?
Of the Lando card.
The other neat thing about these collectible cards and these different arts, you can collect them, which is what I'm doing. I've got a collector's case and I'm sticking them off to the side because I want to collect them. But you can play with them. And I played with a guy that was throwing down hyperspace cards and the alternate, and I was just like, oh, well, yeah,
Total
why not?
Deck, yeah.
The exact same card. They don't have any other special power. They just look cooler. So as he's throwing down this one thing, it was just neat to see it come out into the game field play or whatever. So I'm hopeful to eventually get duplicates of fancier cards, if you will, the foil ones or the hyperspace or whatever that I can put in my deck to do that kind of thing, because that was neat. That was neat to see the alternate art come out into the gameplay of a card I've seen a bunch of times. So
I always do that with my
but
Pokemon.
They can be used.
My Pokemon decks. I always put like my rainbow rares in there, or I'll put my gold ones in there just because it looks cool when you're playing.
Yeah. You're showing up a little bit as the player, but
and again,
if you have it, flaunt it, right?
If the Yankees wear stripes to bedazzle the other team, so
I put the Lando in the chat, by the way, Ricky, if you want to see it.
Okay,
But and again, we're discussing these things not as to like teaching, but just to kind of reveal to each other now, because this might be all the leaders. Everyone's waiting for a mall. I believe they still have to announce a Jabba, so this isn't the be all to end all.
Does that come out again?
Let me switch over window. It's July 12th is when it released with the pre-release 1 week before. But pre-orders are starting now. So the Asmodee website is already out of pre-orders, and you need to talk to your local store to try to get a box or to get the pre-release kit or to get the 2-player kit. Obviously, 2-player kits are available usually. So, but pre-orders are now. So talk to local stores around you to start getting stuff.
I actually did. Just now when you guys were talking earlier about the ID, I did just sign up on the website because I had not did that before.
It was easy, right? It's not hard to do at all. It's definitely.
I actually linked to my Epic account, which is kind of weird, but yeah.
Yeah. So, and Melissa, we'll get through these leaders so we don't go too much longer. So, Lando, and again, this is just for us. People may not understand the terms. Lando is for an action, play a card using Smuggle. So it doesn't even remember I told you, if it has Smuggle, you can play it from resources. He allows everything to be Smuggle. So play a card using Smuggle, and again, this is where terms come in. that the card must have smuggle. I don't know, but it costs 2 less. But then you defeat a resource you own and control, which bothers me for yellow decks because Han makes you discard resources. So some experienced players can deal with it, but I hate destroying my resources. So he allows you to play a smuggle card for 2 less. So a 7-cost card can cost 5, but then you got to defeat one of your own resources. So that's just how yellow plays.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yellow, but like I said, if you know the hero Han card, he does almost the same thing. You have to discard resources, and I have a hard time doing that personally. So, and his hero side is pretty much the same thing. It's just play a card using smuggle. It costs 2 less and defeat a resource. So, like his hero side or unit side is the same thing. The other one that I liked, Cad Bane. He's going to be a leader. When you play an Underworld card, because remember, they all have identities like Rebel or Trooper, whatever it is. When you play an Underworld card, you may exhaust this leader. If you do, an opponent chooses a unit they control and deal 1 damage. So he just trickles out 1 damage. So as long as you play an Underworld card, every card in my Leia deck is a Rebel card. And there's lots of Underworld cards that you can play. And you can kind of just pepper out a little bit damage. So that's the, and again, his unit ability is relatively the same. Bo-Katan, she's now a leader. As an action, if you attacked with a Mandalorian unit this phase, deal 1 damage to a unit. So she's a red. I think that's kind of neat. So, and there's now, so you could build a Mandalorian deck. That's the kind of themes that I like.
Yeah, and then that's Maul too, right? It's like all Underworld kind of stuff too.
Yeah, so there's no Maul leader yet. So
No.
Anyway, they show Shadows of the Galaxy, and they do have Rey and Kylo in this. That's where I'm like, well, that's weird. But they are peppering sequel trilogy people in here. So Kylo is the other leader, and he's the one who was like, man, I can't wait to see this showcase. But his card is kind of disappointing. So it's as an action, tap or exhaust, discard a card from your hand, and give a unit +2/+0 for the phase. So you have to discard a card just to give a character a unit +2. And I'm like, I hate discarding things, man. I really do. And then his unit, so after he deploys, he's a 5/4 for a 4 cost. So he's very strong for a 4 cost at 5/4. But this unit, listen to this. This unit gets -1/-0 for each card in your hand. So if you have 3 cards in your hand when Kylo deploys, he goes from a 5/4 down to a 2/4. And it's like, what? So Kylo plays, he's designed to be a discard deck where you play with almost no cards in your hand. Very risky type of play. I just want to see the showcase because I love Kylo. But man, I don't think I'm smart enough to play that leader ever. So I was kind of bummed about that. Boss. So Bosk, so we got a bounty boss. So this is the one I'm really going to be looking for. So Bosk is, as an action, exhaust this, deal 1 damage to a unit with a bounty. You may give it +1 for this, +1/+0 for this phase. So he automatically deals units to a bounty, and then you can give them a +1. So that's the type of thing where you can damage a unit on your side that someone assigned a bounty to, and then attack with it, and it might get a +1 because you know they're going to try to kill your character. So you're like, okay, I'm going to do self-damage to it, and I'm going to give them a +1/+0, maybe get a little bit more damage out of the card. It's kind of like a sacrifice. I'll give him a +1, or maybe I'll kill you at the same time. But his leader, so when he's on the board after he deploys, whenever you collect a bounty, you may collect that bounty again. Use this ability only once per round. And one of the bounties that you can give to somebody is like recover 6 resources or gain 2. I think it's like, yeah.
Holy.
So so if you cancel, let me look up bounties real quick here on the app. So let me read you some of the bounties so you kind of get what he's doing. Bounty. If this card is defeated, put the top. I don't like green, so I'm not even going to read green. So bounty. Yeah, I just don't even. It's too worded. Put the top card of your deck into play as a resource, but Bosk will do that twice. So he'll put 2 cards into a deck as a resource. Another bounty is once defeated, deal 2 damage to a base. If this unit is unique, such as like Tarkin or whatever, or any or Sabine, any of the unique ones, it doesn't have to be a leader. If this unit is unique, deal 3 damage instead. Bosk will double that, so they'll do 6 damage instead. Bounty, ready 2 friendly resources. Bosk will double that. Another one is once defeated, give an experience token to each of up to 2 units. Bosk will double that and do it to 4 units. So I'm like, oh my gosh. So, and the thing is, Bosk isn't even a rare leader. He's a common leader. And I just want to get all sorts of bounty cards and freaking play as Bosk because it sounds awesome to play as Bosk if you can get him out. So I kind of like Bosk. And again,
if you can get him out, he's expensive to get out?
He's only a 5 to get out. So he's almost.
Yeah. So 5th round, right? You need 5 resources, what you're saying. So that's not till the 5th round unless you have one of those types of cards. You get you an extra one, you can get him out in the 4th. So it's going to take a while to get him out. But once you do, he's going to reign terror.
5's pretty average. Like Luke comes out at 6, Palpatine comes out at 8, Vader comes out at 7, Grand Inquisitor comes out at 6, Sabine comes out at 4, Leia comes out at 5. So 5's a really good number. It's a little bit earlier than people like Vader and Luke type of thing. So that's a good number. So Bosk sounds cool for me to start. And he's red. I just like red decks. They have Hunter. He's the leader now. For an action, pay 1 and tap. Reveal a resource you control if it shares a name with a friendly unique unit. So if it's the same card, return the resource to the owner's hand and put the top card of your deck into play as a resource. Kind of fusing. I don't know why you want 2 unique units in your hand. I don't know. He's a 7 cost with 5/8 and overwhelm. He's okay. And again, it depends on what the other cards in his deck are. Because Wrecker's in the game. He's not a unit, but Wrecker's in the game. Excuse me, he's not a leader. But Wrecker is a unit. Omega's already have been announced to be in the game. So they're designed to play together. And they only revealed about half the cards. I think 120 out of like 260 or something like that. So a lot of these could end up being better. But I'm like, that's too confusing for me. So skip. So
hey, Ryan, on that note, the number of cards from a collector and a collectability standpoint, the first set, Spark of the Rebellion, whatever, had 286, whatever. It went from 1 to 286. Will this next set go 287 and on, or do you think it starts over at 1 for 286? And you have to know that it's the.
It'll start over.
It'll start over at 1. Oh, boo.
Yeah.
So
if you look at the bottom of the card. Next to rare, common, whatever it is, just to the left, it'll have 3 initials. So it'll say SOR for Spark of the Rebellion, and this one has SHD or SOD for Shadows or whatever the heck it is.
I don't see it on the Lando card, but that's because it's the back side of him or whatever. You have the other side, the front or the other side of him, to put it up in the chat. That's only going to help us. But all right, so there is an indicator on the card, but geez, you have to keep track of that. Okay.
Yeah, but very tiny letters. Time to get our little glasses out.
Yeah, that's a problem definitely with this collectible card game, and all the information they try to cram on this traditional format size trading card. It gets very difficult for the original trilogy generation fans out there. I can attest to that big time.
They did really small lettering and font compared to Pokemon, so like it took me a while to even look at the bottom and notice there was. I thought it was just a dot.
You're right. It is a small font because there's still plenty of room in that corner of the card that it could have been bigger. It's not. It's small. It's like you said, Ricky. It's just a small font. There was room
like the L for legendary ones. It's hard to see. It's just a little blue. I'm like, oh, I guess that is an L.
Yeah. So yeah, they will have them sorted. You just have to look at the bottom type of thing. The next leader, which I think looks amazing, I put it in the chat. And again, I would love to see the showcase because Boba Fett in the game right now is a villain. Well, now they have a hero Boba Fett. He doesn't sound as good as the villain one, but he's Boba Fett the Daimyo. and he's really cool. And he says when you play a unit that has one or more keywords, such as raid, shield, whatever it is, you may exhaust this leader. If you do, give a friend the unit +1/+0 for this phase. So again, if you play any unit with a keyword, you just give another character +1, help out an attack. But then when he deploys, it's each other friendly character that has one or more keywords automatically always gets +1. So when he's on the board, he anybody that has a keyword such as raid, they get another +1. So that's
Saboteur.
a good way to. Saboteur, they get +1. So that sounds like it could have some good play in it.
Yeah, I noticed he's green. I thought you didn't like green.
Yeah. Well, I'd like green villainy. So I do like green villain because I like Vader playing with green is great. Like he's really strong. So, it could get,
for
and my
anyway,
Leia's green.
trying to explain that aspect, the cards have tend to have two
Aspects.
different aspects, two different these colors, these aspects is what they're just two different things to help them. And when you're building your deck and playing things out, they have to be similar, or you have to pay an expense for it. So when Ryan's talking about a green deck or a red deck or whatever, that you sort of build a deck around these aspects. The leader will have aspect and the base has aspects, and all your cards in your deck have to match those if you want to play them without taking any sort of penalty. So that's where decks and the cards are built in a way to be complementary if they're green cards and gold, green and golds go well together. And there's however many 6, 7, 8 different colors. So anyway, there's something to that goes into the deck. Once you get to the next level or the next level of really getting into this and building the decks, there's some strategy and some things you want to take into play there with regards to building I call them good guy decks or bad guy decks, but with the underworld in play, there's kind of a third layer. But the colors help you to differentiate and set that apart as you're building out the decks.
Yeah. The next leader is Hondo. Hondo Anaka's in the game.
Wow.
Yeah, he's a green black. So he's a villain. People were really like, why isn't he yellow cunning? Like people were like almost mad about it. So, but I don't know, whatever. It's just his style. And he is
kid out those kids.
So, and I think because green is command. So it's green is the main thing for Imperial units, green for what General Teague and all the Tarkin, like they're all green because it's the army type of thing. So people are like green, that's weird.
You're in charge.
But anyway, and it's whenever you play a card using smuggle, you may exhaust this leader. If you do, give an experience token to a unit. It doesn't seem like an ability that'll be used a lot because you don't play smuggle like every time. There's other ways to get experience tokens on characters, a +1/+1. So that one's weird. I mean, and again, this is for people who are really good at
designing. You could put the experience
designing.
token on the one you pulled out from your resource to smuggle. So that's kind of a way of protecting them when they get in the game.
Yeah, you make them a little bit stronger. So, and again, you don't play smuggle a lot, so it's like it's okay. And again, other people might be able to figure out some better stuff. The next one is Rey. She has for an action, pay 1 and tap or exhaust. Give an experience token to a unit with 2 or less power. So she strengthens a little bit weaker people.
That's cool. She heals like in the movie.
Yeah, so this thing, she makes weaker units stronger. And it's experience token, so it stays with the character forever. And she deploys at 6, and she has, just like Luke, you know how Luke he deploys at 6 and he heals bases? Well, so does she. So she's weak attack. She's only got a 2 attack, but she restores 3. Usually characters that heal your base with restore, they have low attacks. So she heals base.
As long as she's in play, then everybody that you put down after that, they get the +1, right?
No. If once she's in play, it only triggers. She doesn't give it. Once she's in play, she gives experience tokens only on attack. So she'll attack. She'll give 1 experience token. She'll attack again, give another experience token, and to only with units with 2 or less power.
It's not
so
like the
she
Veers card. Okay.
So to talk a little bit about what Ryan's talking, the experience token when it has that action, whenever there's if a unit is out, you can give this experience which will increase its damage capability. There's also a shield token that can be given that would help protect it, that when something is attacked that has shield on it, it doesn't matter what kind of damage the attacking thing can do. All it can do in that first round is remove the shield. So if it has a damage count of 4, it doesn't take the shield away and then do 3 damage or anything like that. All it does in that first round is take the shield, remove the shield from that unit, and then the next time you want to attack that with somebody else or whatever, it'll do the damage against them, kind of thing, whatever. So that's where you said something that has piqued my interest, and that was an experience token can never be removed from a player, or from a unit, from an individual or whatever. Like, but I was like, what do you mean? What are you talking about? But what you're referring to is a shield can. If you give shield to something, that gets removed from it. If somebody attacks it the first time, the shield goes away. But an experience token, if you add, and you can add multiple experience tokens to a thing to keep beefing them up, that doesn't go away until they're defeated, is what you're trying to say, or is what you're saying when you say you can't remove it.
Just think of the character gaining experience. Okay, I've gained a little experience. I +1 attack, +1 health to get a little bit stronger.
Hopefully, you
So
probably
I like
have the Barris card and still.
I like it. The literal aspect of it, right? The experience, you're giving experience. The shield, yeah, it has shield right up until the shields have taken damage and they don't exist anymore.
Yeah. And then the last leader card that's been announced, and there might be some more I'll get into in a second, but is Kira. So Kira is now a leader. She's Underworld. As an action, pay 1 and exhaust. Deal 2 damage to a friendly unit, then give a shield token to it. So again, you're paying to trigger her ability. You're damaging your own character, which is like, I always hate to do, but then you gain a shield for it. So you might be able to damage it as long as it survives. And it does have a positive to it, because do you guys remember what grit is? Remember that keyword?
I know I've heard of.
Grit is any damage that you have. So if you have 2 damage on your character, they get +2 attack. So remember, the lower the health, the stronger your character. So if you have a lot of grit cards with Kira, she can do 2 damage to, like a gorilla attack bot, whatever, with any character that has grit. So and usually grit characters have high defense, like 4 or 6 or something. So they'll do 2 damage to it. It'll lower their defense, but it'll give them a shield, which blocks all damage. But any damage to a grit character raises the attack power. So it does have a good combo, though. At first, it's not like, but if you play it with grit characters, it could be really good to strengthen a grit character, give it a shield to survive 1 more round, and keep it in play. So
that's the thing. The one with taking the grit out of it, from the noob perspective, I would look at that and go, why, the attacking my own person, ew, no. But what I've come to realize, or what I needed to differentiate and separate, was the card you play out has a damage counter, a damage amount to it, and a health amount to it. And while you've done 2 damage to it, thereby reducing its health count by, if it started at 5, you've now reduced it to 3. It still does the full amount of damage that it has on it. It does not affect how much damage the card can do. So if it's a card that still does 4 damage, while you've reduced its health count, but you get to give shield to it, which means it's going to exist for another round, because if anybody attacks it, all they can do is they got to burn 2 cards to attack it, to take its shield off by 1 card, and then attack it by the other card. That card still exists to do its full damage, whatever that number is. And it took me a while to understand that aspect of, while you've taken health away, its damage is always, you never reduce its damage unless it has is there such thing as -1s, -2s, -1s type of things where you reduce
there is,
somebody's?
you can give them,
okay. Yeah, so rare, but anyway, that concept, it took me a little while to get my head around that you can take the health hits all you want, but if it's still on the board, it still has its full damage capabilities.
Yeah. So she does, if you play grit, if you boost it up.
And boost it up even more, that's an interesting play.
And give them a shield, that could have some good play to it. And I'll tell you when she deploys too, because she has interesting deploy. So when she deploys for a cost of 5, so a relatively early deploy compared to someone like Vader or Luke. She has grit as well. She's a 0-8. So she comes in with no attack but 8 health. But when she is deployed, so as soon as she goes onto the board, heal all damage from each unit. All damage from each unit. It doesn't say friendly or opponent. Then deal damage to each unit equal to half its remaining health points. Round it down.
Jesus.
So-
Wait, what? So it's gonna heal damage health for all of us, both of us,
So, and again,
across
when
the
you're-
board in both arenas. So all units get all their health damage taken away, and we sort of reset. And then
Good
what
point.
was the second? What was the second part of that?
Good point. I like that you said in all arenas because it doesn't say ground or space. So, and again, you do the card in order. Heal all damage from each unit. So everybody in the entire game is now at full health. Then deal damage to each unit equal to half its remaining health. So if it has 4 health, you deal 2 damage to it. If it has 5 health, you deal equal to half, round it down, so you deal 2 damage to it. So it's very weird there, but it also damages herself because she's a 0-8. She now deals 4 damage to herself, and she becomes 4-4 because she's grit. So it's a lot of math in it. If you got a lot of characters on the board, it's
Yeah.
like. But
The
here's
other thing I heard there was remaining. What did it say? It said deal half the whatever their health is in the damage of the remaining health. Remaining health is always going to be, that's remaining is what I'm having a hung up term on, because we just cleared everybody's health and made everybody go back to 0. So their remaining is.
You just healed everybody. So yeah, you're right. Everyone goes back to 0.
So their well, yeah, that's what I meant. 0 damage. So the remaining is existing, I guess is what it should say. Clear everybody's health and then do damage equal to half of their existing. Remaining is a weird term.
Well, I guess that there'd be no better way of saying it.
Yeah, because
Well,
remember,
their existing health, or just their health. It doesn't need the word remaining. Anyway, gets to that literal thing of what were they going for.
yeah. So that's certainly by turn. It's turn 3, but by resource 5, there's not a lot of characters on the board, so don't think that there's like 10 units on the board. So you might only have to do it 2 or 3. But she heals everybody and then cuts all their health in half. So if people are at full health, it'll just cut their health in half anyway. So
And that's for both sides, yours and your opponents.
Oh, all right. So there's interesting, right? So if you haven't done, because somebody like me, I tend to attack bases and really don't do damage to the things that are in the arenas. But now all of a sudden they're all halved. Because that they do. So I can take them off or think about taking them off the board. Interesting.
Yeah. So she's interesting. And I just Googled it and I realized there's a leader that's not in here and I don't know why, but they announced him 2 days ago. We flip back over to the other screen and of course, why wouldn't it refresh? So, okay. So, disappear. Oh, there it is. So another leader that they announced is Gar Saxon from Deathwatch. Remember him?
Oh,
Gar.
Yeah, Gar Saxon. His is each friendly upgraded unit gets +1/+0. That's it. It doesn't cost stat. It's just every unit that has an upgrade on it just gets +1. Like, so remember, bounties are an upgrade. You can add a +1 plus, a shield. No, not a shield, but any upgrade that you play like under the card. And for you, Ricky, Traitorous is an upgrade. So every upgraded unit gets. So I think that's interesting. If you play an upgrade, they just if you have bounties on your card, like if people are assigning you bounties, your character becomes slightly stronger. And I'm like, interesting. Okay.
So you said assigning bounties and then the +1/+0. Is that that's like putting on the XP card, right? Underneath like the +1/+1. How would you do that?
Yeah.
I guess you would need those special counters then for that.
Like I said, that's where you could use a blue dice to kind of just do +1 instead of like +1/+1. It's just +1/+0. There's tokens you can use. A lot of people use dice. Like I own like blue and red dice. So if I do give anybody just +1, I use because I have dice that's +1, +1, +2, +2, plus. So it's just a dice, but with +1, +1.
Yeah,
I put it on the left. I put it on the left side of the card just to say, hey, this might say +1, +1, but I don't have a bunch of crazy dice to put everywhere, so I'm just going to put it on the left side of the card, so you know it only applies to my attack side.
But when you said you apply a bounty, is that a counter that goes on there too? Is there like a little mark?
Well, remember a bounty, you just slide underneath it. So
Oh,
it's
okay.
a card. It's a grade, so it slides underneath the card, and it just has bounty. So when
Okay, so
guards,
there's gonna be cards that say bounty, and you just put them.
yeah, they're upgrades. Think of academy training. It's just a +2/+2 that you slide underneath something. Or there's like heavy hitters where if this is a non-vehicle unit, or this is a vehicle unit, it gets +2/+2. Or I think the one that you have is a +0/+3, can't attack bases. Like those are, you're beefing up your characters. The lightsabers, those are all upgrades.
Yeah, those
So
are
think
upgrades.
then when he deploys, each friendly upgraded unit gets +1/+0 and gains. When defeated, you may return an upgrade that is attached to this unit to the owner's hand. So if you played a lightsaber and Gar Saxon's character is holding the dark saber, so it's like, okay, we already have Vader's saber in the game. We have Luke's. We could have the dark saber very much in this game. So
Hey, does the shield count as upgrade?
I believe so. Yeah, it comes
Does
as
it really?
but
Oh, okay.
it can't return to hand because it's a token. So traitorous would return to a hand type of thing. But it's so all your characters, when you may return an upgrade. So if you gave a character a lightsaber, +3/+1, and then the character dies, you get the lightsaber back. So you know how when they're usually defeated, you have to discard them. So I'm like, oh man, I'm just gonna flood it with lightsabers, dude. Like, so I really wonder what the dark saber is gonna look like in the game. And I'm like, oh, dude, because they haven't announced that yet. So that's certainly an interesting character. And then the last one that I have, that's where I think there should be one more character, but they're not announcing anything yet. Everyone's like, make it Maul Underworld, but there's no information. But people found an image in the background of one of their promos, and it's a Jabba the Hutt leader. It's half covered. It's super pixelated. You can't see anything except for the health, and it has 12 health.
Is that
Deployed.
real though?
It came from Fantasy Flight.
Mm.
So they see it. They pulled it from Fantasy Flight. One of their images, like, hey, here's some other. Like, here's they have. It looks like a Han Solo. I don't know if it's a leader Jabba or just a general Jabba, because it's so pixelated. I don't know if he's a leader or what. Because they have a Han Solo, from the movie Solo, whatever the actor is. They have his Han in the game. So like there's Childish Gambino. So he has a Han Solo card in there. But there's a green Jabba card. I don't know if he's a leader because I can't see the leader at the top because it's half covered. But the dude has freaking 12 health. So he may be a 0 attack, 12 health with grit. So Jabba having 12 health is like, what is this card's ability? So everyone's waiting for the official full Jabba the Hutt image release. So that one's like certainly intrigued. Perfect for Underworld. Like, come on, dude. Jabba the Hutt, great to see how he plays with Underworld and bounties type of thing. Like, it just seems like great flavor. So I am excited for the next set. I'm hoping to just pre-order a box instead of buying a bunch of individual packs. I might just buy a box of like 24 cards and just see what I open from there.
Brian, I
24
did go I went
packs.
on the
24
website.
packs. When does the next set drop? You said pre-orders happening now, I think.
Pre-order is now. I think my preferable store isn't doing pre-orders till June 15th. Asmodee, the website, already started 2 days ago. They've already sold out. Stores are being allotted what they can sell. So if your store ordered a lot, they will get more. If you have a crap local store like me where you barely ordered anything, they may only get one less or one more box type of thing. But I know mine ordered 18 cases to start. So a case has 6 boxes and a box has 24 cards. So they ordered 18 cases to start. So
Right.
So
So
they're
I
like,
went, I
hey.
went on the site for the when you said the pre-order, and it took me to the find a store thing again. So like I guess you pre-order through the store that way and not. through
As-
That's
Asmodee
what I
and-
heard. He said the Asmodee site, for whatever
Yeah.
reason, is already sold out. It's pre-order. So how are you sold? How are you not pre-ordering and then knowing what to print? Never understood
that's
that.
And then Ryan, the another store popped up now for me. So the one that's actually like 10 minutes away, like, they just did a tournament on the 31st. So I'm like, well, that might be. But
Oh, nice.
yeah, they like to rack up their prices for Pokemon cards. So I'm not,
Well, try to
and they-
instead of buying packs, just hope that they, because
What should a box retail for?
probably 35. I like the way the boxes look. They're blue this time.
The box. I think a box is 100 or 120.
Well, no, I'm talking about the starter set. Yeah. No, the booster
Yeah.
boxes are like usually like 100 something.
120 is MSRP.
Yeah.
And my store's selling them for MSRP. So,
Mm.
but like my local store that's jacks it up to 200, why I refuse to support.
That's how the
They
stores.
don't take- they don't take pre-orders till like a week or two before actual release.
Mm.
Like I said, the really good store that actually cares about gamers, the Feisty Goblin, which I just love it. I have no problem name dropping them because I love them. They're supporting this game like they should. It all goes to the players. You give him $15 and you can win packs if you're good, or you just come and play and you win like one pack. So that's how you keep play alive. Where my local store is like, we'll just jack up prices to $200. People are willing to pay that. They'll buy it, and then that's it.
You can actually see Ryan play on their Facebook. Yeah,
So,
cool.
and that's kind of the next set. So I'm excited. I'd hope to get a Boba showcase or, Cad Bane or Kylo. I just want to see the cards and try to build something for Bosk. So it's exciting to see what they got next. And I think they announced that they're already working on set 7. So they're putting commitment into this. Right now, there's 9 sets planned with like 3 per year. And obviously they can expand more if the game keeps doing well and they keep printing, really is the big thing.
And you got to figure the more they put out these sets, the more availability there's going to be. So you might still be able to pick up some from, set 2 and set 3's out, that sort of thing. That's what Count is dealing with right now. So,
And they're
yeah.
reprinting set 1 in November, so that might almost be like a double release. So if you miss set 1, hopefully they realize there's still some stuff there. I'd like some showcase cards or whatever. Try a little bit from set 1. Set 3 releases towards the third quarter of the year. Who knows what is? No word on what it is yet. But I would love to see a High Republic set. Like, I will spend $400 on a High Republic set, man. Like, if they have High Republic. So
Do we think the re-release or the reprinting of set 1, you wouldn't be able to tell if you bought the cards in May or in November, or will
There
they
usually
have
is
some sort of there'll be a symbol or something on there to indicate that it's a reprint, or has the potential to have an indicator that it's
I don't know, because Pokemon goes by if you get an older set 1 that it's a reprint because the year's different from when it came out. So I don't know. Within the same year, it might not really count as a reprint.
so that's how you can tell. There's a
Yeah.
year stamp on a Pokemon card, but these guys don't have that.
Yeah, is there year stamps on these ones? I haven't had a look at one.
it's
Good
there's
benefit.
no real official word yet, but people also say that Lorcana reprints cards and there's no difference. So they're not making it like Magic where they are reprinting some cards and the symbols will be different. Like I said, they might change the Stormtrooper from Shadows of Republic or whatever. Yeah, Spark of the Rebellion to Shadows of the Galaxy. So that tiny little wordage on the bottom might be different, but overall, if they're going to reprint set 1, it's going to be set 1 exactly like it is. So they're just pressing print and sending it out. And
Yeah,
hopefully
Pokemon
they
has the
get
same
stock.
ones and it's in different sets, but there's a different set symbol on the bottom. So, yeah. But it'll be the same one that came out like 2 sets before.
Yeah, they'll just reprint because the demand's there, and hopefully we can get some more people back into that, like in a double release type of thing. But I don't know how long it takes to design or print. Like you said, Ron, whatever people are pre-ordering, just print. Well, they're already print. They might have everything printed already.
You said they're up to set 7, and we're talking about set 2 coming out. So right, there's a lot
And
that
again,
goes into it ahead of time.
that's-
But yeah,
Design phase, like set 7, they could have just said, "Hey, you want to do Visions?" And then it's like, we'll get to it later. I mean, who knows what and it's Star Wars. There's so many characters. There's
Right.
Legends if they want to do. And again, it's supported by Disney, so who knows if they want to do anything Legends. But the money's there. There's people who would love to have Mara Skywalker, whatever her name is, or Daz, whatever. I don't just Legends character, Old Republic.
the rabbit?
He's canon, so he would
He's
count,
canon.
dude. So, and just think
I want a
of
Jar Jar card.
the prequel trilogy alone could probably fill 3 entire sets. I mean, people love the prequels. You have the Clone Wars that fills it in. You have all 3 movies. You have, imagine playing with a Jedi Council, man. I mean, just the prequel trilogy alone, like I said, could probably fill an entire year. And that's, people want Maul. They want Qui-Gon, I would love an Oppo Rancisis, like Yarrow Poof. Like, come on, dude. Yaddle. Like, I would love stuff like that.
Yeah, there's the potential for this to truly catch on and have a nice long lifespan, because there is so much content, as you're pointing out, Ryan, right? That there is so much that could be produced. They just have to do it in a way where the gameplay works, right? So that you don't have, you talked about it about Magic, you don't have the performance creep, the power creep of just, oh wow, once you get a hold of a Yarl proof, if you have that in your deck, you're going to win every time you play type of, then that will take the fun out of the game to some extent. So
but there's always one of the cards, and you saying that, one of the cards they announced, let me see if I can switch over real quick, is Crate Dragon. And let me tell you this one real quick. It's just a regular unit card, cost of 9. He's a 10/10 with Overwhelm. When an opponent plays a card, you may deal damage equal to that card's cost to their base or to a ground unit you control. Like, that's just a normal card. Like, that's crit. But again, that's a 9 cost in a red deck is really hard to get to, type of thing. You gotta think how many go to 9. So it's one of those cards and it's a legendary, so it's super hard to find. It's super powerful, as it should be. You've got 9 resources. You're deploying 1 card, and it's a legendary card. So it's like, if you get to 9 resources, you want to end the dang game, man.
Right.
So
It should be at that point in time. That's going to be the end of the round.
But
because
Ricky,
that kind of card with that kind of capability, but
then you got to think, if someone plays that, you have Ricky that just sits there with a handful of vanquishes, and it's defeat a unit. No power required, no health required, just defeat a unit. So someone plays a Crate Dragon, and you play a 5 cost card, defeat. Like, so, and again, that's there might be cards that seem broken, like this Crate Dragon. Oh, it's a game ender, but dude, it's 9 resources. Come on. But then you have simple cards that are like, this will kill it in 1 shot for 5 resources. Okay, that's easy enough. So you just have to prepare for decks, type of thing, and that's part of the learning process. You can go, like me, like when I first tournament I played, I placed 5th out of 36th. I come back a little bit more cocky. I placed 19th out of 32nd and only went 2 and 3, 2 wins and 3 losses. Didn't even make the top 8. If I would have made the top 8, I would have been given a special art mace card, like a special card, because it's called the Store Showdown. So if you get top 8, you get a card, a special art mace window unit card that says top 8, top 5, top 3, or champion. So, and you only get one of those, and that's it. So, and I missed out. So I'm like really bummed because I don't have any mace cards.
Well, so that's the beauty of it, getting some traction and getting some life, that it's going to be around a while, that we can have another Senate session sometime in the future to discuss what came out, what the gameplay looks like, maybe get into it a little bit more, and expound upon what we've hopefully introduced here a little bit with regards to Star Wars Unlimited. The trading card, TCG, trading collectible, collectible
TCG.
card game, CCG. I like that one. CCG,
I like TCG.
game that's out there that's
TCG
Star
is more
Wars.
common.
What is trading card game? Is what
Yeah,
TCG is? Trading card game. That's not nearly as fun.
I mean, it's a good time to jump on right now too, because you got the new starter set coming out, and you can still pick up the old starter set. So
Yeah, the second round starter set's going to be coming. I thought I heard.
Yeah.
So right, you can pick that up, or the
that
original
up.
starter set's available
You can still find it.
for folks to pick up. Yeah, that one's still available. Adding to it, getting the booster packs and all that is quite challenging until they re-release that set one.
Yeah.
But
I'm hoping by the end of the year, like we can just easily find them. So we
yeah,
can
it
build up
sounds
some
it
better
sounds like
decks.
it sounds like that might be the case, especially if they're getting into more and more.
Yeah.
More and more decks. So looking forward to it. I've been having a
Yep.
blast with it. I've been having a blast collecting them. I still have some packs set back so that when I do get with my nephew, we can still open things up or whatever. So I'm still excited, still holding out hope that I open up something that's super cool.
Maybe-
And trying to learn this whole deck building process. That is
Maybe
a
next
whole-
month when the new set comes out, we can do another one of these and
Yeah.
go through all
That
the
is
cards.
the whole process to it, is building the deck. So there's more to come, more to chew on with regards to Star Wars Unlimited, the TCG, the card game.
Yeah.
The collectible.
And
card
again,
game.
it's just exciting. There's characters that aren't in the movies that you're like, as a Star Wars fan, nobody even knows who Gar Saxon is unless you watch Clone Wars type of thing. So, and he's only, and even then he's like what, in one season. So
You can
it's
go fill up
rewarding
your,
to be at Star Wars.
fill
Star
up your
Wars
to-go
fan.
cup with some blue milk and throw on a Star Wars shirt and go to your local game shop and go play with fellow fans. Once a week.
Yep.
It's fun.
Yeah.
Good time.
So it's a fun game. We recommend anybody to check it out. Start with that 2-player deck. Watch it played. Learn how to play.
And yeah,
And
some of the resources. What's the other website that helps you collect your cards? The something that ends in DB, I think, is.
it's just
my
Star
card is
Wars
better.
Unlimited TV.
Well, that's the.
Yes.
Is that the official one, or that's somebody built for us?
It's SW Unlimited DB as in database. So, and then there's just regular Star Wars Unlimited.com, which has all the reveals and all the cards and what the products are. It's just a general, and you can filter everything out. So, but yeah. So if you want to see all the cards in the deck, go to StarWarsUnlimited.com. Up in the right, you can just go to database. You can see all the leaders. You can see every card in the deck, every base, some characters that some characters that you love, some characters that, and my favorite card is there for a 5-cost 3/5 when played. Give a shield token to each of up to 3 Mandalorian units. Her name is the Armorer. So bring it on, baby. I want this card.
All right. All right. It was good discussion for Unlimited. So until next time, I am Ricky, and let's say goodbye to Ron
Cheers, everyone.
and Ryan.
Goodbye, everybody.
And may the force be with you, and go find some decks and some packs.
Keep on collecting.
Yeah.
Hey, cheers, you guys. Yeah, good stuff.
Go switch off. I am the Senate.
Be sure to follow us online. We're at Facebook at PSW Senate. Join our Plus W Star Wars Facebook group, where we all are in there interacting. You can find us on Twitter at PSW Senate. On Instagram, we're at PSW Senate Podcast. And on TikTok, we're at PSW Senate Podcast. We look forward to hearing from you.
The Force will be with you, always.
your mileage definitely may vary. I just hit a shop yesterday trying to find something, whatever, and they only had what they have. They only had the 2-player starter sets.
Oh, they still have those. Cool.
Another shop did have a box of cards. They were selling the cards for $12 a pack.
Wow.
And
Yeah, I just won't support that.
I
So,
looked at him and I said, "Can you get any closer to retail?" And he's like, "Yep, nope, that's what we're selling them for." I'm like, "Well, sorry, I'd like to buy some. You know, I could maybe go 7 a pack or something like that, but well over twice the price. You're crazy." Yeah, walked out.
Yeah. That's what you got to do, man. You just got to find a store that supports local play and you win packs. So yeah, while it may cost $15 or $20 to play tournaments,
enter,
you
yeah.
could win a pack or two. Like draft is a good way too.
A bit of a basic. I would think
Yeah.
I was going to talk about getting that 2-player starter. You know, for anybody new, that 2-player starter deck is exactly what you want to start with. It built the decks for you. It has a loot. It has and they're evenly matched-ish, and helps you to do the gameplay and what that gameplay looks like.
Yeah, and then
to
like
some
you need to
extent.
match colors to have a deck, and all the rule stuff. Kind of get that out of the way in
Yeah.
the beginning.
I don't know if it's all of them or most of the next leaders coming out in the next set that I can tell you guys we could talk about. So
And speculate then on what that future looks like. I'm ever the optimist, wanting to predict a long Magic the Gathering like future for this Star Wars card game franchise. But Ryan can bring me down real quick, because there's been a number of them, right? There's been a couple of Star Wars card games that have come and gone.
And from this company has tried several times.
Has
So
started
this
in
has
stock
been
a couple-
far and away their most successful, because I think they said this first set sold more than an entire year's worth of like Star Wars the deck building game, which they announced a second set finally coming for. So but yeah, so it's been massively successful, and they haven't been able to keep up with demand.
They do the deck building game too.
Yeah, that was in Target, right? I mean, I think I found the ability to buy that in Target, like in the toy store aisle, not the actual, not. It might have been in the card aisle too. Ryan, I'll ask you this again during the game or the show proper or whatever, but because the gameplay is better, just the timing of it. What would you say is the success of why this is seemingly a little bit more successful than their other iterations?
That would be the secondary market. So the cards are valuable, they're powerful. It's evenly balanced. Like, it's not just, there is strong characters, like Boba has been the strongest, but Sabine's always been right up there with them. There's been a lot of good. It's just
so the
deck
gameplay, the
building.
balance, the deck building, just they got it right this time versus the other times.
Yeah, and like you said,
That's
Ricky,
awesome.
that's Star Wars, the deck building game, that is from Fantasy Flight. So it is, like I said, they've, I guess, had the Star Wars thing for a while, and they're just trying different cards, and they just kind of copied Magic the Gathering and Lorcana, and they're like, listen, we're going to do booster packs because it gets that urge to rip a pack and get a big surprise. You're like, yeah. So it scratches that itch for collectability.
They used to have Star Wars the card game. That was another one that they had. And like the deck
Fantasy
building
Flight.
game was the one where two people play and you build a deck in the center of the table, and then you both like.
Yeah. And that's
Yeah,
getting an expansion. So it's surprising that they're working on Star Wars, the living card game or collectible card game when it's CCG. And then they're also working on, and it shocked everybody that they announced that they're releasing a second set for that, for the deck building game. Because I remember you said that, Ricky. You're like, man, they're like never going to release. And it's like, surprise, we're releasing. It's like, wow, they're working on all sorts of Star Wars stuff.
Yeah, I like the deck, but the deck building game is completely different. But I mean, because
Oh, yeah.
Then there was another one that had Rey on the cover and like Luke, and you can get those starter packs. That was a different game. I would see those at Target. I never bought them though. What was the name of
I
that
don't
one?
think I know that.
Yeah,
What?
that one had booster packs and stuff. You could buy expansions for it.
I don't know that one.
You don't know that one? Yeah.
Yeah,
that
like
one-
you said, Star Wars the card game is also by Fantasy Flight.
Yeah.
So they've been doing all sorts of Star Wars stuff, and this one just freaking slapped, man. And
I think it's this one. Star Wars Destiny. That was the other one. Star Wars Destiny was the other card game. Yeah, you can buy the box with the starter set, and then you can buy booster packs at Target and stuff.
Oh, yeah, I haven't played that one.
Yeah, I never did either. I never jumped on it. I was going to because I thought it was going to be like Pokemon kind of thing, but then I started reading more. I'm like, well, it kind of isn't really getting any expansions.
A lot of people didn't like the dice aspect because that's also my Fantasy Flight games, but it revolves heavily on rolling dice. And people that play card games don't really like dice because it's too random, even though you're pulling random cards from a deck. And it's like, well, this cards are just as random, as rolling dice,
Yeah.
It could be just as surprising. So Fantasy
Pokemon
Flight's
has
definitely
rolling dice aspects sometimes, but
I threw in the chat a picture. Was that game went well for a while? I think, yeah. If you guys know, that was from a while back or whatever. Isn't that the customizable card game? But it just the gameplay of it.
That's another one.
That's old.
Yeah.
Or previous or whatever you want to say. But it didn't take, or it did take, it just ran its course. It just ran out of steam. That's what I don't know.
Okay, I've seen people posting pictures of this stuff too. It's like, man, I've kept these sealed boxes forever. I guess I'll just open them now. So I have seen people have a bunch of these that they just kept because, they buy these boxes to take them off the market and hoping that they'll shoot up in value, and then they just keep them in a tote forever.
And I think that's what you kind of said, right? That's what kills it to some extent. People buy the stuff up, thinking it's going to become super valuable, and then there's nothing out there for people to buy to play which is to take off.
Yeah, which is a big problem. But Fantasy Flight is recognizing it, and they agreed to a second printing of set 1, but that's not till November. So. But they're committing. They're like, okay, get into set 2. Set 3 is going to release like in November or December, but we're also going to have set 1. So it seems like they're committed. And that's what's like, okay, people are getting into it. It was simple to pick up. We could talk about all that stuff later.
Stuff we need to put in the check because I got so many questions to that in terms of. All right, so set 1 they released 1,000 cards. So set 2, are they going to release 3,000? And the reprinting of set 1 is going to be 2,000. Like they learned their lesson and they're going to print a lot more for set 2. Or are they going to have to do a reprint for set 2 at some point? Yeah, let's light this candle.
Yeah,
chatting away.
All right. Yeah, this is the other. Hold on, let me just put this picture in there. So this one's getting expansion. I just want to make sure.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
I think I bought that once.
Yeah, that was a fun game. I played that one too. So.
I can't just because it's a minimum 2 players. So
Yeah. Okay, let's get started.
do you want to know what it is?
No.
Yeah. But
Okay, no, that's fine.
we can talk about that in
What
the
is it,
history or the miscellaneous or the.
What is it?
I don't know. I guess it doesn't matter. Oh, beats me.
When is that coming out?
Well, how do you? I'm impressed. Right? How do you know what it is that you can't play it because it's 2 player, but you're knowledgeable enough to know what it is? That's awesome. So it's
because I follow Fantasy Flight. I mean, I don't follow them, but I go with them. So
you said you put it on a table or you spread all the cards and you're just trying to build a deck and
Yeah. It's kind of like Texas Hold'em kind of thing. Yeah.
It's like poker.
Not really, but like.
Well, you build a deck and then what? You just see who has the better hand.
Yeah, you have to like take out bad guys on their side and good guys and this and that. So I have to play it again. It's been a while, but I like that game. It was fun.
But it's more a
It's not like you build your own deck and then you play. It's like
I want to say, no, I was gonna say it's like,
I guess. Yeah.
But it's all compact in that box.
Yeah.
That it's like Monopoly. You just open it up and start playing it. It has all you need. You don't need to add to it. There's not more to it or get anything. You just open that up.
No, every time you play is going to be different, because we're going to get.
But it has what you need in that box.
Yeah.
It's the deck building game is just the same. It's the same decks, right? You can't change the decks.
Yeah. No.
Okay.
So I sold a bill of goods under deck building because you're not buying that and more cards later or anything and building a deck. It's in that box. You're gonna build a deck and see how it stacks up.
You build a deck as you're playing, and then you try to take out your opponent. So, well, that's cool. Grievous and
So I'll just post a picture and see what you say to the picture.
that's like a prequel era one. I'm trying to
Yep.
think about the cards in the other one. Are they just OT? Maybe they are. Huh. It's been a long
Obi-Wan-
time.
You had me at Obi-Wan. I'll definitely.
Yeah, I'll probably.
Yeah, and that's
check it.
it's a standalone, so you don't need the other one. And I
Yeah.
don't even know if it crosses over, but still, it's prequels. And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
that's freaking great, man. So
Yeah. Yeah, that era kid is getting older, basically.
All right, you guys ready?
Born ready.